This is the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast, where we spread awareness for men's mental health and spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. New episodes drop weekly.
Lord, I pray that you will be in this episode, that you'll fill me with your Holy Spirit, that you will guide this conversation. And I pray that we will reach those out there that need to hear this message, that feel maybe lost or feel they don't have any purpose in life, especially the veteran community. Lord, I pray that you will bless Alfred and his family and just be with us during this episode. Thank you for this platform. And I pray we give you all the glory tonight and also raise awareness for men's mental health. It's in your mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Welcome back to the
That
Peace,
was awesome,
Power.
man.
Welcome back to the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Steve. And on this platform, we raise awareness for mental health and also spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. My guest tonight served as a United States Marine canine handler, and his life was forever changed in 2010 while on deployment in Afghanistan with his canine grief. We're going to get to know Alfred tonight as the man. We're going to get to know Alfred the Marine, and also we're going to share his powerful story. This is a story about grief, loss, trauma, resilience, and rebuilding a life after coming home from the scars of war. Alfred Brenner, thank you so much, brother, for coming on the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast, man.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate this opportunity. Like we were saying offline, any opportunity to get out there and spread any type of good message is an amazing one, you know? So I really appreciate this. And it was funny. I was talking to my wife recently, and we'll get into this probably, but it's like, when's the last time you had a therapy appointment? I'm like, I got one tonight. You know, it's like,
Nice.
but
Nice.
so you podcast or church, it's like, that's all you need, man. It's like,
Yeah.
obviously that other stuff's important and you got to be able to get out there and talk. But I hope, like you said, my prayer too is that people can hear this and be like, I want to tell somebody my story too, and that's kind of my mission.
It's interesting you say that, man, because even as a host, this is like therapeutic for me and it helps my mental health, because sometimes I'll get into a subject with somebody and then wow, I didn't think of it that way, or I'll learn something. And so it works for me too, man. I really agree. Like talking, if you're in the right environment, it's really therapeutic. And I think it keeps us from bottling it up, because that stuff's got to go somewhere. And obviously it's healthier to put it into something positive than to let it turn into like self-sabotage or, something negative. So yeah, man, I'm glad we were able to make this happen.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to sharing this story. So before we get into the deployment and really the event of where your book comes from, who was Alfred the individual before you joined the Marine Corps, and what made you decide to join the Marines, man? Out of all the branches, why the Marine Corps?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, and that's obviously like, you always start with your bio and your history, and that's always like a number one question. To me, it's not really that interesting. I grew up in a very normal suburban 90s household, playing outside, very strict parents, mom and dad. I had everything you could ask for as a child. And my dad, incidentally, was also Alfred. So was his dad and his dad. So I'm the fourth. So you have, this Italian, German, generational thing, big family, church every Sunday. I grew up Catholic. So it was very regimented, doing that Catholic school my whole life. And then once we were leaving 8th grade, we had to go to high school. So I went to a small school because it was Catholic school, but then a lot of us went to Catholic school again. So we went there, and it was the same thing. It was all, regimented. You had church all the time. So I had a very structured, faith-based upbringing. So being that, my dad being a college graduate out of Villanova, my mom just raised kids, she did her thing. So college was always like on my radar 100%. Like I was going to go to college. The high school I went to, they promoted that. They're like, hey, we have 100% acceptance rate. Everyone, our kids is smart. They're all going to college. And then I'm like, I don't know what I want to study. Nobody knows what they want to do at 18, So I'm like, well, if I have to do it, I want someone else to pay for it. So I went and talked to a recruiter, but the only people working that day were the Marines. And the guy was like, come on in. And then, I fell in love with like the challenge and the uniform. And, I was always the kind of kid who I didn't get in trouble because I was a bad kid. I got in trouble because I pushed the limits, and I always thought outside the box. Right. So if somebody's like, coloring the lines on this picture, I would draw a whole new picture and color those lines and still get an F, so like that was all my mentality. So I guess it was kind of a way of rebelling and thinking outside the box. Like, oh, I'll go to college and be smart about it, but I'm going to do the Marines, get an awesome uniform, not really even understanding that like we're in a time of war,
Mm-hmm.
and like, people are like, you know what the Marines do? And I'm like, no, I thought they were like special forces of the Navy or something, like I thought
Yeah,
that's what it
yeah,
was. So anyway, that's how I got involved. And the guy sold me the thing. He puts the wish list items on the thing, goes, what do you want to do with your life? You want to travel, this and that. So, he's like, yeah, you can go to sunny California. He's promised me the world, right? And,
yeah,
he doesn't know. But I had a great recruiter. So he made sure I got my contract, the right contract, all that stuff, my wish list. With all that being said, I also didn't want to just like join and, pick a job that was like killing people for a living. Like I wanted to
mm-hmm.
transfer my skills. So I decided to be a military policeman so that I could, have something that transfers when you get out, do law
Yeah,
enforcement. Everybody loves cop shows or,
right.
detective stuff. So I was like, that's cool. So that's how I got into it, and became military policeman in the Marine Corps.
Did you have any family outside of, they all went to college, but did anybody join the military in your family?
Nobody. We
Okay.
did not come from a military family, but we did have the grandparents, like my
Mm-hmm.
their generation. They did. Grandparent did Korea, so I think all of those older relatives went to Korea. They were drafted around that
Mm-hmm.
time. So they did that stint, and then one was a Marine. My great uncle was a Marine, but again, they didn't talk about it.
Yeah, yeah,
These older guys, like
yeah.
they never talked about that stuff. I didn't even know my grandfather was in the army until he got a flag on his casket,
Oh,
like
wow.
that's how long it was. Yeah. And if
Well,
they
you're
told me, we don't care, right? Because we're kids. Like I
yeah,
didn't have
yeah.
that upbringing. Some families are born into it and they have it, but no, I didn't. I wasn't around it. Um, and it sucks. I think I went into it naive that way, where I didn't really understand it, so I didn't know. But at the same time, I think it shielded me from a lot of the worries and anxieties, and or on the other side of it that we hit later is like the ego, the pride, like
Mhm.
I went from like, oh, I'm a killer Boy Scout to now I'm gonna go be a Marine. Like there wasn't that trajectory, so I think it kind of saved me.
Where'd you grow up? You said your dad went to Villanova. Where'd you guys grow up?
Central Jersey. So like, I mean, he's up from
Okay.
up north. Like I said,
Yeah,
those Italians came over on the boat, and
yeah,
they all settled up there, and so he was
right.
from up there. But then he settled down Jackson. So if you know anything about Jersey, there's Six Flags Great Adventure. It's the theme park. That's where we're from. But it's right in
Okay.
the center. Yeah.
I
So right in the
I
center of
was
the
in
state.
Jersey in, April, so oh god, where I saw on your form the town and it looked familiar. Where did I stay? I was on Kevin Donaldson's show, The Suffering Podcast, and now I cannot think of the town it's in.
It's so funny. I just talked to him like
Good,
not that
good,
long ago. Yeah. Cause about the
nice.
show, and he
Yeah,
told me the
yeah.
town too. And I
I
want to
can't
say it
think
was
of the
like,
name of it.
because they're all sound the same. I think it's
Yeah.
Scotch Plains or Plainfield. Like there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, it was, oh
I
god,
hope he
wait.
doesn't hear this. He's gonna be like these two.
Yeah. Well,
Get him mad.
I flew into Newark and the hotel
Right.
was like 20 minutes away. So I don't know where
Right.
the hell it
And
was,
then the
but
problem is now you are like everyone else in the world because you come to Newark and immediately everyone thinks that's Jersey. Right? Like they think because they call it the armpit of America, right?
oh,
Like it
yeah,
smells
yeah,
like
yeah.
crap and
Yeah.
gas and sewage. But that's just Newark Airport. It's not
Right.
Jersey.
Hey,
It's the Garden State.
I had a good experience at Newark, dude, because Nashville's airport is a cluster. So I had a really
Oh
good
yeah.
experience. So, and I'll say this before we keep going because I want to make this point clear. I'm from Nashville. I've never heard anything good about New Jersey. Dude, I didn't think it was that bad. And I will say that when I first got there, I went out near Atlantic City to meet a friend for a dinner, and it was a long drive, but I don't know what town it was. But so
Yeah.
I'm getting old, dude. I can't remember, but I was all over the place. I did not think Jersey was that bad. Everyone down here is like, oh, it sucks. And blah, blah, blah.
No.
People were really friendly. It was easier to navigate than of course, I took Uber everywhere. I didn't want to try to drive,
Yeah.
but it seemed pretty cool, man. Like, I mean, from what everybody said down here, I didn't think it was that bad. So,
Yeah, I
it was,
appreciate that. Yeah, no,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not.
man.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's got everything here, So I was very blessed to grow up here. And then of course, fast forwarding, we got San Diego. So we were out there for
Yeah.
a couple years, and then so my wife wanted to kill me when we moved back home, but
So,
it's
but
everyone.
you went to basic at Paris Island, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
the
So
real
and
boot
then
camp.
I was gonna say there's bragging rights right there, dude. So
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
like saying that because I'm not that person, but I just do it for like people to get upset on the internet. Like that's
Yeah, no, I know.
I
And
don't really care.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure where I live, everybody goes to Paris Island for basic. I don't think anybody I think if you're in Memphis, you go to San Diego. As my grandfather was in the Marine Corps and he went to San Diego. But I think if you're in the Nashville area, they could have changed it. It's all Paris Island. I
Well, you're
could be
right in the
wrong.
middle, so yeah, that makes sense. I know it's
Yeah,
like Mississippi River's like the border or something. Like I know it's halfway left and
yeah.
right. So
So my original question, I guess I was going to get at, was like, since your dad was college educated and your whole family was, did anybody say, "Hey, go to school and become an officer," or did they just kind of?
I think that yeah, my dad was always like, "Oh, you got to be an officer," you know.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I would have, like he wanted to do the military, to be honest, but he had an
Okay.
injury in high school to his eye, like for football,
Oh
which
wow.
means I couldn't play football my whole life, you know. And then
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
like, "Don't do this."
You'll put your eye out.
Yeah, yeah, you'll hit your eye out, kid.
Yeah.
You know, so I didn't do that, and then but yeah, that was the goal. It was like go do like enlisted, and
Mhm.
then I want to do school while I'm in because it's free,
Yeah.
and then be an officer later or whatever. But like you don't realize it when you get in, depending on your job, you have no time to do school. Like
Right.
and
Right.
maybe actually looking back, if I applied myself, probably, you know, like
Mhm.
you probably had the time to do online classes or something, but you're just focused on, you know, getting up early, PT, doing all this stuff with, you know, dealing with it. And then when you're off, you're off. You're not going to want to do
Right.
school. So
What year did you enlist?
2007.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So it was
Yeah.
right after I graduated. I got out of high school June and went to boot camp August
Oh
something,
wow. You
7.
didn't even
Yeah.
get the summer in, dude.
Yeah. A little bit. Yep.
Yeah, not much. So you go to Paris Island, and then where do you go from Paris Island? Do you go to like advanced training in um that same area, or do you go somewhere else for school for canine or for military police?
They send you home for you know PTAB whatever, just you know see everybody, and then you go right to MCT Marine Combat Training. That's down in Lejeune. So you do
Okay.
that combat training. Everybody does it, unless you're a grunt. You know they do the infantry school, so
Mhm.
that's different. It's longer, but we do a brief infantry school, and then from there you all go to your MOS duty station, like
Okay.
wherever your job is. For me, it was at Fort Lost in the Woods in Missouri, so I did military police school out there.
So the Marines
Um,
go there too. I knew the Army
yeah, it's a
went there.
joint
Okay.
joint base thing. They do
Okay.
everything there because
Okay.
they have like the gas school there. They have motor
Oh.
T. Yeah, so
Okay.
they have a lot of different stuff there. Yeah.
Okay.
So of course when we get there, they're like, don't get sloppy, you know, don't be like those army guys, you know, and they kept us to a high standard. And the whole time I was there, it was
Yeah.
frozen. It was just ice everywhere. So but yeah, that was then was there. But while you're at MP school, like I think it's like midway through, or maybe a little bit in the beginning, they say, "Hey, we have these other specialty jobs within, you know, the service. What would you know, if you'd like to do it, you have to apply. We need a volunteer only thing." And they said, "Do you want to do canine?" And I
Mhm.
said, "Absolutely not." Like I hated dogs. Like they were scary, they were hairy. You know, I just didn't like them.
Really?
But then they kind of sold it again.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, it's like a top tier program. You got to be like the best in your class." All this stuff. And then I'm like, well, that sounds pretty good. Put my essay in, first sentence, never had a dog in my life. You know, submitted it. The guy's like, hey, this is crazy, but let's look at it. By the time we graduated, I got canine school. And then from there, it was me and 6 other guys went down to San Antonio, Lackland Air Force Base.
Oh, okay. Was so why didn't you said you were afraid of dogs and because they were furry you
Oh
didn't like
yeah,
them?
hated them. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had a girlfriend at the time, so I met my girlfriend right before I went in to the service actually. So we were just dating and stuff, and I'm like, I didn't want to get into a girlfriend. I didn't want a relationship, you know. Like
Yeah.
I swore off, like you know, we all have these like childish hookups and like relationships. But then like freshman year, I'm like, I'm never having a girlfriend again. Like it's just
Right.
distracting. And then especially when I started to join the military, I'm in the DEP program. I'm like, I'm not gonna, you know,
Yeah.
try to wife somebody up before I leave.
Right.
But then she just came out of nowhere, man. She was
Okay.
glowing and she made me forget about everything. And,
Hmm.
you know, I sound like such a little baby when I write about it, but it's true. It's like one out of a Nicholas Sparks novel, man.
Hmm.
It was like I fell in love with her right away. And
Yeah.
then I tried to break it off before I left. I'm like, look, I don't want you to have, you know, a pen pal for the next 2 years while you're in high school. Like, you know, live your life. And she stayed with it. She was much stronger than I ever was.
Wow.
Um, we stayed together forever. And then, a year after that, we got engaged. After I graduated boot camp, we got engaged, and then a year and a half later, we got married. So,
Wow, that's
um,
awesome, man. That's
yeah,
unheard of, dude.
yeah, it was. And then we said we were married 2008. I'm sorry, 2009. We were married. And the reason I brought all this up was she had 3 dogs at home and like a
Mm.
bird and a cat. And like every time when we were dating, like I go in and they're like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah,"
Yeah.
you know, they're freaking out, jumping
Yeah.
and slimy and nasty. I'm like, this is horrible. Yeah, I really like. I didn't like it, and then
You
because
sound like me, dude.
I didn't grow up with it. I didn't have
Yeah.
dogs, so I
Yeah.
just was like, didn't know, you know. And she's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
they're so great." And I'm like, "No, not really. Like their tail hurts, you know." So it was like that was my experience around them. And
Right.
then when they brought up canine, I'm like, all right, well maybe you know this might be a thing. And then you know, long story short, you fall in love with them. You know, down the
Yeah.
road, it's a different story.
Hey,
But
hang on, dude. Okay, hang on. Because I mean, I think most people watching this know kind of what a canine handler does. So you're telling me you went from being like that to all of a sudden letting this German Shepherd bite you in a suit and all that crazy
yeah,
stuff, man?
yep.
Oh, there's no
Yeah,
way, man.
and
There's
I
no
was
way.
scared at canine school. Like when I got there, like you know,
I
and I
would
think
be
most people
too.
are anxious. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're barking and freaking out. Like you can't hear yourself think. Like it's scary. Then you get the one on leash. I mean, luckily they don't give you a dog right away. They like make you tie a leash to an ammo can, and they like tell you to sit and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty silly, man. It's
Oh,
like
that's
hazing. I think
awesome.
it's hazing. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
but
hilarious, dude.
yeah, because they don't trust you. Then you got to learn the commands.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you get a dog, and I'm like, oh, geez. And then look, but then you apply yourself, you start to learn, and then I graduated top of my class. I was like top dog
Wow.
in the
Nice.
class. So you know, and I always talk about this a little bit. It's like kind of like with shooting, right? Like you hear this all the time. You're a Nashville guy. I have cousins out in Kentucky, and they like by the time they can walk, they're shooting a rifle. You
Yeah.
know, like that's just a thing. So you hear like a lot of the guys, and they actually call it what Kentucky windage or something.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can
That's
close your
old
eyes and
school.
just like
That's
lick your
old
finger
school.
and hit a
Yeah.
target. But when
Yeah.
they started shooting on the range, they were horrible because they had all
Mm,
these bad habits. You know, like there's a
right.
certain way you're supposed to do it. So like me never holding a weapon before in my life, shot expert because it all just
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, I applied myself, I learned what they were saying, and then it came natural. So I think it was
Mm-hmm.
the same thing with the dogs. Like I didn't have bad habits. I didn't have dogs growing up. So it was like I was learning with them, you know. So it kind of
That
absorbed
makes
it
sense.
differently.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. And just for clarification, Nashville's changed a lot, my friend. So,
Really.
oh yeah.
They're cracking down.
I mean, it's just a different type of individuals here now. It's still Tennessee, it's still the South, but there's definitely a little bit of mixed flavors now from like
Well, yeah,
California
because all of
and
California, like Rogans and all those
yeah,
people, they all came over. So like you have
yeah.
a little mix of it.
It's. I mean, it's still a very gun friendly state, but it's definitely the vibe's a lot different now in 26 than it was like 15 years ago. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
I mean, I can
Um,
see that.
yeah, there's a lot of it's a lot more blue than it used to be. I'll say that. But
Yeah.
so it's not as gun
Well,
friendly.
especially by the city, Nashville. Like it definitely
Well,
down.
yeah, all the major cities in Tennessee are very blue, all of
Yeah.
them. Yeah, so I'm in a suburb south of Nashville, so it's still kind of old school, but it's changing as well. So
Yeah.
yeah. So okay, you get the dog, and is this grief? Is this when you get him? Is it in school?
Nah, like when you're at canine school, they have dogs there. They're like training
Okay.
dogs. So like whether they washed out, they didn't make it, or they're retired, like they're getting older, whatever it was, they
Okay.
keep them at dog school to be like training dogs. So like everyone
Gotcha.
handles these dogs. They cycle through. They have
Okay.
like one that'd be good for patrol where they just do bite work. Some didn't do detection. And then I had two in that class because you do two different types, the bite work stuff and then the smelling, the detection. And then once you leave there, you graduate, you go to the fleet, you go wherever you're stationed, and then that's where you get paired up with your actual dog.
Okay. So you end up in San Diego? Is that where you went when you
Yep,
left?
went to Camp Pendleton, California.
Okay.
So, and then the
So
interesting thing that kind of from there, so I'm leaving canine school, I get my orders, and there's two other guys before me. They got, you know, MP battalion. They're going to be working in a cop car with the dog. And then mine says 1 Marine Expeditionary Force.
mm,
So we're like, what the heck is this? It didn't exist. So they created
yeah.
this unit because of the demand and everything going on with the war. Instead of just training cops and sending cops overseas to be attached to conventional units or special operations units, whatever it was, and then coming home and doing cop work, they decided, let's just make a unit that only trains and deploys. So like our
Mm,
job was to go to work and focus on what's going to happen over there. And that's all we
gotcha.
did. Like I didn't even
Okay.
get to sit in a cop car.
Huh.
So yeah. So that was like, I was the very first one, got there and we were just standing up the unit and it was just like setting it all up before we deployed.
So how did that make you feel? Were you excited about that, or were you disappointed you weren't doing the police type stuff?
I'll be honest, yeah, definitely a little disappointed because like that's the only reason. So like at canine school, and this is crazy. It's like I guess every special job they just go on. You train forever, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
yeah. So when you're at canine school, then they made another program that's called specialized search dogs, which is
Mm.
essentially the same thing but off leash, and they only do detection work. So
Oh,
that
wow.
what they did was, it was an Israeli program that they adopted, and basically what they did was, let's not keep the dogs on a 6 or 30 foot leash. Let's make them go out 100 yards.
Hmm.
So then they would be doing hand signals and off leash stuff. So that's what the other kids were like. Yeah, I'm gonna stay back and do this. But then for me, I'm like, nah, I want to sit in a cop car. Like, I want a patrol dog. I want to like send them on a bite. I want to do the
Yeah.
bad boys thing. But then I leave and I'm like, no, you're going to this deployed unit. So like,
Hmm.
it didn't even happen. Looking back, I'm like, yeah, of course I'd want my dog to be out 100 meters. But
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what. So and then we have many different specialties, but that's where it happened. And I was a little disappointed because I thought that'd be a cool skill to transfer,
Mhm.
not knowing that. And we're going to allude to this probably a lot, but like my plan was never his plan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
I can
yeah,
understand that.
I'm like, I'm sitting here, I'm disappointed, and I'm like, it would have been cool. And he's like, but got something better for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna have to go do something else.
Um, so as far as the canine stuff, since you were going to this new unit and it's a different mission set than what you were anticipating, did that mean you had to go to more specialized schools in order to be able to do this, or how did that work?
No, like it was essentially the same thing. Our focus was just training and deploying. So like all the stuff, we did the basic obedience. We did do bite work like you would if it's a conventional cop, but like then we started to incorporate other stuff. Like instead of just wearing the bite sleeve, you have to put a sheet on, getting used to doing
Yeah, that
bite
makes
work
sense.
dressed as a dude. So
Yeah.
we and then a lot of desert stuff. Like they would do a lot of inside the mall searches or rooms, and we'd have to
Mhm.
be out and find dirt somewhere. So it was that. The only other special school we had, which a lot of guys went through, was the pre-deployment course. It was a course they had down in Yuma, Arizona,
Mm.
and that was basically just like a mimicking thing of what Iraq and Afghanistan looked like.
Right.
And all the guys did that before they deployed, but that was probably the other special thing. And then we had great leadership who always tried to push other classes. Like we did combat lifesaver stuff, where we had to learn life saving things on our dogs. And
Mhm.
they sent them up to mountain school up
Oh,
there
wow.
in California. Yeah. So we always tried to expand, do things, jumping out of helicopters, not
Nice.
jumping out of helicopters, but taking a ride in one,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
riding the yachts or whatever, like whatever we could do to expose our dogs to stuff. So.
Hmm. So, can you kinda tell us what that experience was like when you guys first met, when you first got grief? You get to this new unit, how did that whole process work, and what did that look like?
Yeah, so again, I was like the first one. So once the guys started coming in, it was like three of us, then six, then 12, and then we had to wait for dogs because we didn't have them. And then the
Mhm.
first group of dogs came in, and there was this Belgian Malinois, this big police-looking dog named Troy, a little yappy shepherd named Vicky, and a female, and then a Grief, this black and tan, like cool, badass dog.
Mhm.
And the leadership does a good job. They pair everybody up. They go, you're gonna get this dog, you're getting that dog. So I had this dog Vicky, was this little like 45-pound shepherd, and my buddy who was like half the size of me was handling Grief. So like there was like a size difference,
Yeah.
and like we're both struggling in our own ways. So I was just like, hey, let's just switch really quick. Like let me try to hold him, and because he was yanking him all over the place, and it wasn't
Mhm.
just him. That dog sucked. Like Grief was pulling him, so we switched. And then my the leadership's like, what are you doing? And then they're like, oh well, see how it works. If that works, that's great. From
Mhm.
that point on, I got stuck with Grief, and
Got
then
stuck with him.
yeah, yeah. I had a lot of grief in my
Good.
time. Yeah, and then every day is just, mostly in the beginning, it's just grooming. You take your dog out, build rapport with them,
Mhm.
grooming them, taking them on walks, training all day long. So it's about spending time with them, getting them to trust you, because our job is built on the foundation of trust. Like that's
Right.
what it is. That's why the dog. I mean, you can have a push button dog, like you can go buy a dog that's fully trained and it will listen
Mhm.
to you, but
Mhm.
then there's that bond, that trust where you know everything about them.
Where'd the name come from?
That's the best question, and I don't know if I'll ever get the answer, but they get assigned. So, like, when we breed them in dog school down in San Antonio, they get
Mm.
assigned a name. It's like based
Okay.
off of however it comes up. But he was bought in Germany because you
Mm.
buy trips all over the world. Mostly in Germany, we'll go grab a couple dogs, and he had that name when we got him in Germany.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
I actually had a German canine handler on the show.
really,
Yes, and
dang, that's
she
great.
has, like, 4 or 5 different dogs, and I was hoping one of them would be on the show, but he was, like, in the background the whole time. But, yeah, she's
Oh
got,
yeah,
I'll have to connect you guys on Instagram. She's really cool.
That's
But she's
cool.
got all kinds of neat pictures, and yeah, she was in the German army. She's got, I mean, it was pretty
Damn.
neat talking to her. Yeah,
Yeah.
and met on Instagram, just like everything
Really? So
else.
she's
Yeah,
like speaks American, like she's like American now, or she?
she's still in Germany, but she speaks pretty good English. We did
Oh, cool.
the time difference was weird, so we had to do it like kind of in the morning. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, she did really well. It was her first podcast, and there's a little bit. I lived in Germany as a kid, so I mean, that was a long time ago. But like, I
Yeah.
could kind of understand her at times when there were a little bit of language barrier. But no, she did really well. Like,
That's
and
cool.
yeah, man, she's an artist too, so she does a lot of cool drawings for some like U.S. service guys and stuff. I'll
Oh,
connect you
heck
guys on
yeah.
Instagram. Yeah, she's really cool.
That's
Um,
awesome. Yeah, it's the
she
beauty of social media, man. You get to connect with
yeah.
everybody. It's awesome.
So Grief was a pain in the ass when you first got him.
Yeah, he was. He really was, man. And I just told you I hated dogs. I was scared of them.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just barely made it through dog school.
That's hilarious that you ended up in that pipeline, dude.
Yeah. I
That's
mean, for
hilarious.
my own reasons, like I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be awesome. And then, had to learn everything. But he was a tough dog. And a lot of guys would agree. I mean, he was tough.
Yeah.
He just was stubborn. And, the whole time I'm blaming him for everything. And it would say 90% of the problems were mine. Yeah, he was a fresh green dog. I was a green handler. He was only 2 years old. I'm equally as immature and young. And the one concept I was told but never understood was our emotions run down leash. So like if I'm anxious and nervous, he's gonna be acting all weird. And
Yeah.
then you don't trust somebody like that. So,
Right.
and I would be so jealous of these guys who would walk around with their dogs like off leash. They listen to them. They're like licking their face and cuddling with them and stuff. And you know, the they might have had their own good training times, but what really did that was spending time overseas together.
Yeah.
And you
Bet.
don't realize that that's the big kicker. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the relationship you have with your buddies that if you deployed with,
Mhm.
that's a very strong bond. And if you haven't deployed, just the military in general, but
Right.
it's
Right.
that camaraderie, that bond with a dog. It's, I think, multiplied, it's 10x because
So
they just feel everything.
so with those dogs, I mean, I've got some experience with them as a police officer, and you'll probably laugh. I was afraid of them. So like they would
Yeah.
tell us, oh, they know you by your uniform. So when we'd go like clear a building, the canine you would always bark and want to come in. I'm like, no, we got it, we're good. Like I don't want them around because they would bump you on purpose. Like they would run into you, and I hated it. And I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
there was
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
night
I get
we
it.
were we were at the station, and there was like 4 canine dudes in the bottom of the parking garage just running around with their dogs, and I wouldn't get out of my car. And they're like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't trust any of those damn things." And I didn't trust them because out of those 4 handlers, 3 of the wives were all bitten by the dogs
Oh, my God.
at their
That's
house.
common.
At
Yeah.
their
Like
house.
stuff
Yeah.
happen at the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, I am not getting near those damn things. But my
Yep.
son loves German Shepherds, and I showed him y'all's picture last night, and he was like, oh, he was all about it. So
Oh, that's cool.
he's the dog person. I like dogs to a degree, but I would not consider myself a dog person. Like I would
Mhm.
never in a million years would have ever signed up to be a canine officer or a
Yeah, but
handler.
you're so
It's just-
surprised. Like it's weird, man, because like it's a certain type of individual that takes to do it.
yeah.
But like once you break out of that shell and you break out of your own skin and that you put all that pride and ego aside and you know that the job is really just about like saving lives and
Yeah.
that the connection with the dog is a very unselfish thing. And then all of a sudden, like you fall in love with it. And that's what made me fall in love with dogs, just being around them and spending that time together.
How was Grief around like the other guys when you guys were working? Was he pretty cool? Like where he would obviously you didn't do anything until you told him to, but was he on edge or uneasy? Like did the guys feel comfortable around not the other canine handlers, but just the guys you're working with? Did they feel comfortable around him?
Yeah, they did, and they like it depends. And this is why our job is a little difficult, but it's also the beauty of it is when we go over there, you get attached to a unit. So like those guys have been working and training together for a long time. Now you have to sell yourself, find your way into their little clique, and like build that bond with them.
Right.
And they have to trust your dog. Now, if they had a bad experience where a dog snapped at one of their guys, they're all gonna have PTSD over it. Like that's a no brainer. Like I don't trust your stupid dog because it only takes one. Right?
Yeah.
Like that happened to us all the time. There was other programs over there, whether it was contract or other units that had dogs that wasn't associated with us. If they did something wrong, that's like every dog does that,
Yeah,
So like you have to get over that. And we just have to work with it. We sell ourselves. And then after a week or two, they're like, okay, we trust you.
That's cool.
Initially, yeah, they're like, nah, I mean, he looks scary, but they were hanging out with him. I got a picture of like Grief play biting with this kid on patrol, like biting his
Nice.
arm. So like, yeah, they
Nice.
loved him. They absolutely loved him.
So what was it like, man? I mean, you joined the Marine Corps, and from what I understand, it didn't sound like you did a whole lot of research. You
No.
got into the Marine Corps. You're going in during an active time when we're at
Yeah.
war, and then you end up in Afghanistan. Tell the audience, like, what was your mindset like, man? Like, how and you've got a girlfriend at home, your family's probably, I mean, I'm sure they've got mixed emotions. They're probably scared and nervous because you're in harm's way. Like, what did that feel like, man, when you first got over there? Like, can you tell us that?
Yeah, it was it was definitely I nerve-wracking, 100%.
Mhm.
And like I said, the anxiety was there. I talk about I'll reference a lot of stuff, but I talk about it in the book where it's like when we left, every one of our guys, we went with the largest deployment of dog handlers since Vietnam. So like I
Wow.
said, they created this unit, it was a big push. So they sent us all over there. And like, the morning of, you swear that it was a bunch of guys getting ready to play the biggest game of their life.
Mhm.
Like we had our game faces on, like we were pumped, ready. The bus was leaving. We're leaving the kennels, and the guys are hanging out the window, like giving each other high fives. Like you swear we won the state championship or something. Meanwhile, the wives and everyone are crying on the corner, like like
Yeah.
upset. But I
Right.
think it was mostly motivated to do our job, but like naive to also what we would be exposed to because we never deployed before, none of us.
Right. Right.
Um, we just wanted that, either that opportunity or that chance to go out and do something. Meanwhile, you have 4 or 5 other guys who actually deployed before and they're just like chilling, they're relaxed, because they know what they're getting themselves into. And
Mhm.
um, 100%, I don't know what I would do without my faith in life. And I knew we would ream into this eventually. But much like the story you hear all the time, I told you I grew up in a Catholic church. I knew everything I needed to know, right? So, like, I knew what I needed to do. I knew what prayer was. I had relationships with God. I always prayed, but again, it was mostly when I needed something,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't that relational thing. It wasn't like, when you praise your buddy when it's a good time, it's just like, it wasn't there yet. But right before I got on the plane, I was making my last phone calls, and I remember one conversation I had with my dad. I don't remember the exact words, but he was basically always lived by this. It's like, if you're going to die, I hope it's there.
Wow.
I hope it's doing something that's worth it. Like, I don't want to hear that you got into a car crash on the side of the road because of
Mhm.
whether someone hit you was drunk or you were drunk. Like, don't go that way. Like,
Yeah.
he set the stage where like the ultimate sacrifice, right? Like, and looking at it, he goes, and you can't be scared to do that because that's what the plan would be, and
Mhm.
you need to have faith knowing that everything's going to work out. If you die, that's because it was supposed to happen that way, and you'll be remembered for that and all that stuff. So faith was so huge because it allowed me to go through not only just deployment, but my job. Like
Yeah.
I signed up to be a canine handler, right? Like, which sounded cool, not knowing you're in front of every other guy in patrol looking for bombs.
Yeah.
Like you don't realize what that entails until you start doing it. So the first time on patrol, I'm like every piece of disturbed dirt's a bomb, right?
I
Like
can't
every piece of
imagine, dude.
trash.
Yeah.
And then, I'm focusing on my dog and all this other stuff. And, but then you start to realize that like if you live with so much fear and anxiety like that, it's impossible to do your job or to live in general. So like these moments started to like really shape how I viewed life as far as like how much you have to rely on your faith, and that's what got me through every day of deployment. I prayed before every meal. Not only asked God to get us back safe, but when I got back, I thank God for getting us back safe, right? Like we always forget to give glory when it's due.
Yeah.
You always just want to like ask, but then when you get back, you're like, wow, we killed that mission. Like, no,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
didn't. Nah,
He
like it
was with
wasn't
you.
you. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So every step, like I said, I referenced that poem about footprints in a stand, in the sand, where like, you're going through a really bad mission or something, and like you're cursing and things are going bad. Maybe you lost a buddy or something, and you're like, where were you, God? And then
Yeah.
I always tell myself like it could have been way worse. He was with you the whole time. He got you through that. So like that
Yeah.
mentality is what got me from like before I got on the plane all the way up through deployment.
That's really cool to hear that your dad, had that kinda conversation with you, man, because, I mean, I get it, you're a Marine, you're going to war, but even you're still at a young age, and for your dad to talk to you in a way where you're a grown ass man, and that's a hero's death. I mean, any way you wanna put it. I mean, I think a lot of guys that join the military look at it that way. You know, you're serving your country, you're doing something greater than yourself. And what is it, like 1% of the population
Yeah,
signs
I
up
think
to
that's what it
be
is. Yeah,
something like that. So I mean, not saying everybody goes to war, but obviously that's I haven't heard anybody say anything like that before. That's pretty interesting that your dad said that. Would you say your relationship with Christ grew stronger then because you mentioned your faith while you were on deployment? That relationship, because we talked earlier about kind of having a relationship versus you know, maybe growing up in church where you're just kind of doing what you're supposed to do, going to church and you know, the Bible and stuff. But do you think that relationship with Jesus really strengthened while you were overseas?
absolutely, 1,000%. Like I relate it to like the relationships you have with your buddies, you know?
Mhm.
Like you're going through hard stuff. Like
Yeah.
again, you're going to ask for help, you're going to cover your guy on your left and your right. You're going to patch him up if something happens, but at the same time, you're going to pat him on the back when he does something good or like you guys are going to have fun too. So like, there's that relational thing. And when you're going through hard stuff, that bond gets so much stronger. It's 10x with the dog because they feel things differently. So
Yeah.
that's when I started to realize that like talking to God or praying wasn't just about like knowing what to say, knowing like the our Father, Lord in heaven, all that be
Mhm.
thy name, knowing when to stand or sit or kneel. It wasn't just knowing it, it was feeling it. It was
Yeah.
feeling when I felt his presence, and then it was when I felt like he was absent, and then trusting that he wasn't absent, he was doing something else. He was either
Mhm.
helping the guy to my left or right. There was always working, he was always
Yeah.
doing so
Yeah.
there was like that relational thing, so the relationship was so much stronger through deployment. Again, I would always prayed, always did all this stuff. And then, fast forwarding, and we'll jump back to this, but like later on in life, when things get messed up, you forget
Yeah.
because you're not in that moment. It was so easy to be faithful and to be a good Christian person when you think you're gonna die every second.
Right.
Because you
Right.
realize you have to give it up, right? That's the trick is you have to sacrifice, you have to be humble yourself, give it up to God and say, hey, look, if it's a good day, it's because of you. And if it's a bad day, you're going to help me through it,
Yeah.
But then we get in the real world and all this other stuff, we take control of our lives. We
Mhm.
start making our own choices. And then we're like, oh, look what I did. Look what I did. And then if
Yeah.
something falls, we go, oh, I'm a failure. I'm a failure. I'm a failure. And then the whole time he's like, why aren't you asking for my help anymore? You're
Yeah.
trying to take control of everything. So overseas, it was easy. That's why guys go back. I mean, that's why they
Mhm.
deploy. At the end of the Hurt Rocker, right? When he's
Yeah. Yeah.
staring at
Yeah.
all the cereal,
Yeah.
like, and every time I go to the cereal aisle, I think of that scene. Every time, I'm not even buying cereal. I'm just
Yeah.
like, how do people live? Like,
Yeah.
it was so easy over there. It was so easy, you know.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. It's a good way to put it. Um, so when did you have kind of a predetermined idea of what it would be like before you deployed, or did you just kind of go into it like boot camp? Just kind of like, man, we're just gonna go pray to God and put my faith first and just see what happens? Or did you kind of already have, I mean, I'm sure people were talking inside the unit, but did you kind of work, you know, up in your mind what you thought it would be like? And then were you surprised when you got there?
Yeah, I think we all kind of were because again, we were prepared as humanly prepared possible. Like we did everything we possibly could. Long story short, we were supposed to be going to Iraq. They were sending 20 something dogs to
Mm,
Iraq in 2009.
okay.
And if you know anything about the history, it was like kind of slowing down,
Yeah.
and then they were
Yeah.
done, like the boardwalk or whatever it was wasn't even there anymore. They they said we're not going to send you. We literally went to work on a Tuesday. We are already like ready to go, and they said you're going to Afghanistan in 6 months. You're not going to Iraq anymore. So
Mm,
like this whole shift happened. So not only
yeah.
were we like trying to get ready for war, we had to get ready for a whole new AO. So that was a huge part of it. Nobody who came with us deployed before. Again,
Mm,
I think that helped because we weren't bringing guys who had, whether it was PTSD or bad experiences. Like we had some leadership who had great experiences in Iraq and some in Afghanistan, and they were able to guide us and push us in the right direction. But we weren't, I don't think, ready for what was going to actually happen, right? Like until you deploy and then go back, then you're like, okay, I'm ready for this.
yeah. So, I know your life was forever changed in 2010. Do you want to kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, so I had a great deployment. Again, I went to, every day I thought I was going to die. I was with this sniper group down in like the southern part of Afghanistan, just open desert, walk and talks type stuff, vehicle
Mm,
searches. And then and August 7th, I get a phone call. Hey, you got to go back to Camp Leatherneck because we're going to do some retraining. I'm like, okay, that sucks because I want to stay here. It's comfortable. I'm comfortable, right? I got
yeah.
complacent. And then, not knowing, they pulled us back for a memorial service because one of our buddies was killed on patrol, August
Man.
7th. So he was hit by an IED, and he was the first handler who was killed.
Oh man.
And then that's when it made it real.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't just about like, oh, I'm used to this now. It was like, I gotta do this because this is what I'm meant to do. You know, it was like a whole mind shift. It wasn't fun and games anymore. So we all went to work, and it was like really motivated. They pushed us all different ways. The mission changed. I got to work with the British Army for a while, like literally a week, and then some other groups, like, you know, different platoons in the Marine Corps. And then finally in October, like the end of September, they said, we're about to send almost all of you to work with the Army in Kandahar. So it was such a bad area down there, and they didn't have any dogs. So they said, hey, we need to send a lot of explosive dogs to work there. They had to get approved, you know, in DC, and then they finally did. So they sent us to Kandahar, and I was with this Army unit. And as soon as me and my buddy show up, we go into the control center, and immediately an ID goes off to the patrol that's out there right
Damn.
now. Yeah. And
Wow.
vehicle gets up in smoke. It's the middle of the night. So they're like, hey, we got to send one of you guys out there to go do it. My buddy gets on the helicopter, he goes down, another one goes off. So
Gee.
just to give you some context of like how bad it was over there, like we were there for
Yeah.
10 minutes. And then every day was just some new thing, you know, whether it was pop shots, a firefight, an IED that somebody else found. And then, God willing, I never found myself finding them or on top of one. You know, it was always like out in the distance, or we hear it on the radio or something. It was just always somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's why everyone's always like, you know, it's canine. It's like, hey, if you don't find any, that's either a really good thing or a really bad thing, you know? Like, so, yeah. And then we hit October, and October happened, like the end of it. I called my wife, went in there and said, hey, I can't talk for a while. We're going on this big mission. So, you know, I'll give you a call when I get back. Then we go out immediately. As soon as we get to where we're supposed to go, they say on the radio, hey, we have an IED. So they do a control deck, blow that one up. We push on. I'm searching some buildings and some other things. We get to another spot, and they said, hey, we found another IED. And meanwhile, like I said, we're with a Marine tanker unit, the Afghan army guys. There's people everywhere. So we're waiting against the wall, me and this other kid. And they say, we're going to do a control deck. So, you know, give us a couple minutes. Meanwhile, Grief's hanging out with me. He's like leaning against the wall. He's crawling on this kid's lap. He's petting him. He's rubbing him. And he's just like, hey, you know, I miss my dog back home. Like, I can't wait to go home and see him. Like, you know, just tell me about his life and how much he misses his dog. So we go to stand up because they're going to do the debt. And then before I take like 3 steps to my left, like an explosion goes off.
Oh.
And it just like, it hits me in the back of the head. There's like just like debris and stuff everywhere. And I turn around, and Grief was on a retractable leash at the time, and it was just like extended all the way out. And he just was like stuck in this cloud of smoke. So I went up to him and I checked on him, and he was scared, like he was shook, but he was fine. Like he seemed physically okay. And then I turn around, and there's this big crater, and inside this crater is this kid, and he's just screaming and wailing his arms and legs, and he's covered in blood. So I'm like confused as heck, because I'm like, an IED doesn't suck someone into a hole, you know, and then, you know, keep them okay. So I'm like, now we're starting to lose it a little bit. I'm like, all right, I need to like just post up and do security. Like I have a dog. I'm not about to do like first aid, you know, on this guy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other guys there. So I go up a little bit, post security. I'm like waiting to get ambushed or something. And then they pull him out, and they say, hey, we have to call in an area for a helicopter. Can you search it? And I'm like, well, Grief's fried, but like, I know how these IEDs work. I have 6 feet with me right now. So I'm just going to do a spiral and like kick up dirt. You know what I mean? I'm going to just make sure this area is clear,
Yeah.
you know? So it was more dumb than brave, but
How safe is that though? I mean, you're just kicking up dirt. I mean,
it's not safe at all. But like, I'm at this mindset right now where I'm like, I don't care. Like if anyone's going to go, it's going to be me, not people coming off a helicopter. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That's what I was thinking. So thank God I do a spiral, and like nothing's there. And then I turn around and I see these guys on top of the roof, and they're lowering down the body of Specialist Stephen DuPont, the kid who was sitting right next to me.
Oh man.
So he was on an IED.
Jeez,
And that's why it was so close. Yeah. So again, and this is where I start to lose it, right? You just like, the whole deployment has been good, and then it's just like going down.
Jeez.
So then we're like, hey, look, it's a bad day. We're going to get into this other building. We go around back to search it, but there's this door there. And then we try to get into the door, but it's like a metal door, which is weird because it's usually just like sheet, like, you know, it's like beads or no door at all.
Yeah.
So they start peeling down this metal door. This one sergeant major I was with, super salty guy. like, still had fresh Iraq dust on his camis. He jumps the wall by himself, goes inside. The captain I'm with starts peeling down this door, and then he goes to yank it, but then the Afghans we're with getting all upset. They're like, "No, no, 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 no," and so we're like, "Hold on, we'll take pictures of it." They thought we were like breaking their property or something.
Mm.
So I took a picture of it on my phone. The door falls down. I take a picture of the door after we killed it, and then I hear the sergeant major coming around the corner. So I'm like, "All right, I'll go back and tell him what's going on." And before I took my third step, everything just went white,
Oh,
and it just felt like I was flying through the air, like flipping and flying, and
man.
had no like feeling or thought. It just felt like with a snap of the fingers, nothingness, and it felt like I was flipping and flying through the air, high pitch ringing in my ears. And then when I started to be able to get a thought, I thought I just died. Like that was the easiest thing in the entire world. That would just happen so quick. But then like the flipping stopped, and then I started to hear people talking. So I'm like, I'm back at home, So
Yeah.
I'm on the ground and they start running up to me and they're like, "Who's hit? Who's down?" And then they can start to, address me and they're like, "Oh, Brenner's down, K9's down." And they go and start yanking on my boots and they take my boots off. And,
Mm.
meanwhile, I think I lost all arms and legs.
Mm.
But now that they're ripping my boots off, I'm like, "Oh, I have feet,"
So feet,
and I
yeah.
feel the tourniquets on my arms. So they're like, "Oh, you got arms," So now I'm doing the math. I'm like, I'm actually going to make it and I'm actually okay. It's not that bad. And then so they patch me up and then they call in the 9 line and they're like, "Hey, uh, we got 1 wounded and 1 killed." So I'm like, "Oh,
Mm.
like it had to have been that captain. Like he went inside, like
Yeah.
whatever." But then I started to hear everybody's voice. And then like the one thing I realized nobody was saying was like, "Go help Grief,"
Mm.
or "Grief come," or whatever it was. And it was at that moment where I realized he was killed.
Damn, man.
So
I'm
he
so
was part of
sorry.
it. He was right there. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. And then but it didn't like bother me. I was messed up, and
Yeah.
just concerned about like living and,
Right.
and then the whole time, the only thing I was saying was like initially like, "God, as soon as I got that thought in, first
Mhm.
things out of my mouth was praying, because
Yeah.
I'm like, if I'm going, I'm going to make the right phone call. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Totally. 100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
like God, just
Speed
like, "God, I
dial.
love you,
Yeah.
I'm ready to come home," whatever. And then so like, that was just me. I think the guys I was with thought I was like losing my mind or something. They're probably like, "This guy's losing it." You
This
know what I
dude
mean?
nuts.
He's
Yeah.
talking to God, or
Yeah.
he's fine. He's got arms and legs. And so the medic I was with, he's like, "Bro, relax. You're gonna be all right." I'm like, "Have you seen any war movie
Yeah.
ever? Like they say that right before they die. Like I'm
Exactly.
dead."
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like chuckling with me. We're like cracking jokes on the road, and he's like, "No, you're gonna be fine. Seriously." Yeah. So they got me patched up. They called in the helicopter, and bump, 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 and they got me on there. And the next thing you know, it was dead quiet in the hospital. So
So that sergeant major never got injured that
no,
jumped the
well,
wall?
what's funny? No, I don't know. Maybe this is funny, but like I never like I don't know if I didn't have it in me, or it's like I never wanted to call them and to talk about it. Yeah, I don't know if it's like I didn't
Mm.
want to stir up their stuff. I did
Yeah.
talk to the captain who was standing right there, and we had a long conversation. It was probably about a year or two after the fact, and he told me briefly what happened, but nobody else was severely injured. They might have been rocked a
Mm.
little bit, like
Yeah.
the other one before, but nobody else got seriously injured.
So it was when you went in the doorway is when you think it happened?
No, like so the doorway was there, and what we 90% sure happened was that it was in the wall waist high. So like if we were
Oh,
stacked on the door trying to breach
shit,
the door,
dude.
it would have just
Yeah.
mangled like 6 guys.
Wow.
Cause like when I took 3 steps away from the door, that's when it went off.
Damn.
And it was like speculation that it could have been like remote. They wind up like talking to 3 like observers that
Mhm.
shouldn't have been there because they emptied the area, it was one
Yeah.
of those. And they wind up, I guess, capturing them and talking to them or whatever. So who knows exactly what it was? You know how this stuff works. But we've
Yeah,
had
yeah.
guys, a kid was sitting on one. Like we had people walk over 1,000 times. It could just be when the dirt gets rubbed off and the metal touches. You
That's
never
wild.
know.
Yeah. Man. So, I mean, if you look at the big picture, and this is just an outside perspective, Grief's a hero, man. I mean, it's horrible that happened to him, but he saved a lot of lives with that, you know?
Yeah, and that's what it's like. There was like a concept where it's like, hey, let's just like, it's like, I know what you're trying to say. I get it. And like, that's where
Yeah.
we realized. and we were supposed to sleep in that building that night. Like,
Oh,
who knows what would have happened? We could have got,
right, right.
ambushed or something. For whatever the reason was, this was all supposed to happen the way it was.
Mhm.
And it was interesting. Grief was actually, we were talking about adopting him when I got home,
Oh, wow.
because he had 3 seizures while we were over there.
No kidding.
Yeah, he had one was like we thought was just heat stroke, but it could have induced it.
Mm,
Um, and we had to give him IVs and stuff. And then he did it another time when there was no heat case. And the vet was like, yeah, he's definitely probably got seizures. So he's going to have to be stopped working after this.
wow.
So we're like, yeah, I'll take him home. And, so, but
And
I mean, I took him home.
you may have said this, before and I missed it. How long had you and Grief been together up until this point?
It was about 2.5 years or so. I
Yeah, that's
got
a long
him
time.
in 8, and it was the end of 10 when it
Yeah,
happened.
that's a long
So,
time together. Okay.
yeah, and he
Yeah,
was
man.
2, and then he died about almost 4, so,
Wow.
yeah.
Man, I'm so sorry, dude.
No, I
That's rough.
appreciate it. Yeah.
So you said you get to the hospital now and everything's quiet.
Yeah, it was, like, the first, like, weird, eerie silence because when you get rolled into Bagram,
Mhm.
it's like an actual hospital. I don't know what it looks like, my eyes were closed, so I have no idea, but it was just super, super quiet, and then my staff sergeant comes in. It was incidentally, he flew into our area of operations for another reason, and
Mm.
he just happened to go in. People were running to him as soon as he gets off the helicopter. He's like, "One of your guys just got hit."
Wow.
So he was there, and then they sent another helicopter to pick up Grief once they got me into the
Mm.
hospital. So they treated him just like another service member.
Yeah, I
But he
imagine.
was there, and he was talking to me, and then, he was like, "Hey, do you want to call your wife?" And I'm like, No." I'm like, you know, I don't know what to say, right? Like that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Um, so they wind up making the phone call. They called her, which was the worst decision I ever made because that was the first time a sat number came up and it wasn't my voice.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah. So her whole world changed as soon as she heard somebody else's voice. So, they said, "Hey, there's been an accident. This is what's going on. He's okay." But they can say all they want. You
Right,
don't know,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
And she knows that they go to your house, but that doesn't matter. Like you still get news like that. It
Yeah.
changes you. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So they did that, and then after that, I got to launch to Germany, and then after a week of being there, they sent me to Walter Reed Medical Center down there in DC.
So walk us through that, man. Can you kinda go over, like, what was the extent of your injuries? And before you explain that, like, let's go back to the quiet part. You're in the hospital. Are you having conversations with God? Do you kinda realize at this point, obviously, you kinda probably knew what happened, but, like, are you talking to God about all this and kinda trying to get some answers, or what's your mindset like at this point?
The thing that sucks, I think, is that I think I was so distracted by the entire event and also in and out of surgeries, like
Mhm,
constantly. Like, I don't know if they put you out or not, but the last thing I remember is like barely hearing voices on the helicopter. Like it was
mhm.
so loud, plus my eardrums are blown out.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
But
I
then
can't
next, you know,
imagine.
like I'm just in the hospital. I feel everything. I get wheeled in and it's quiet. And then they put you under because they have to start like operating you, clean things out. So like I
Mhm,
was under, then I wake up. Next thing you know, I'm like going to Germany. I honestly don't even remember how I got to Germany. Like there's like
yeah,
probably 2 days of just nothing. And in Germany, I still couldn't see. I had just injuries to my face, so I
mhm,
couldn't see any of the room. I didn't get to see the people. But what I'm trying to say is, I think between the ins and the outs and not seeing and the medication too messes with your brain and everything else. Like
mhm.
I don't remember any real conversations except for some of the little ones. Like I talked to my brother on the phone. He was going to army boot camp. Like
Oh,
he
wow.
just got there when I got hurt.
No
So
kidding.
yeah, yeah. So they let him get on the phone and talk to me,
Mm.
when it happened. So and of course, I'm like, damn, like I'm like the last person you want to envision right now, like going. He just went in.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, and then I had like a visitor. My dad's friend was up there. He came and saw me. But I and this is where I think, if I had to be honest, this is where it just started to go down as far as that relationship and that trust and that faith I had in God, because I was so reliant on the doctors and the opinions of medical professionals and when I'd get to see my family again or when
Mhm.
this pain would stop. And I was so distracted by all these earthly things
Yeah.
that like these conversations may or may not have happened. Like I might have fallen asleep, and then if I feel like if I said anything right now, it would almost be a lie because I just don't remember.
Well, and
And
dude, that's totally understandable. I mean, to go through something like that, I mean, that's totally understandable. And I was just curious because I haven't been in that position. And then I mean, I'm imagining you've got every emotion going through your body, anger, fear, just, the unknown. And then you're concerned about your family and your wife. And then, you just lost your best friend. So you've got the grief portion. I mean, so there's so many emotions that are
Yeah.
wrapped up in that. I was just curious if, at that point you were kind of, I mean, I get the medication and all that stuff, but I didn't know if, cause you survived it, you got through it. Obviously it was a very traumatic, experience, but I was just kind of curious where your mindset was at that point.
Yeah. No, I do. Like, I remember the one thing I was saying, I was praying to God. I was saying, God this, God that, all the stuff. I love you, trust in you, all that. And then there was a moment where I realized, like, I felt like this was always supposed to happen.
Mhm.
Like it was one of those weird, like, purpose filled moments where I just, like, of all the people that it could have happened to, why me?
Yeah.
And when I'm, like, literally thought I was gonna die, I'm on the ground. Remember telling my wife less than 24 hours ago, "Hey, I'm gonna see you soon.
Mhm.
Like, love you. Everything's gonna be okay." And she's, like, the opposite side of it. She's realistic. She's like, "You do not know." Like, she knows, like, something bad can happen to you. Not me not knowing, like, I don't care if it does because I know where I'm going if it does. So it's like
Yeah.
it's weird. It's a weird way to live. But when it happened, I was like, "Guys, this is like God's plan." And then
Mhm.
it was kind of like on cruise control at that point. It's like I feel so horrible to admit that, like, I don't remember being like every night like, "Oh God, thank you so much for saving me." Like it was almost like I accepted it, and then I was just along for the ride. And then that's when it just was roaring rapids all the way down.
But you know what I'm hearing in this, Alfred, is like I don't hear any animosity in your voice or any what's the right way to put it? Like you're not playing a victim. You're saying it was part of God's plan. And I don't I'm going to jump out on a limb here and probably going to get banned on YouTube for saying this, but I don't think many veterans in a similar position as yours would come out and say that. I think they would blame the the enemy, they would blame the operation, they would blame the whoever else, man. I don't think many people would sit here and say that was part of God's plan. That's just my personal opinion and my experience, but that that just shows your character as a man to have gone through something like that, and for you to say those words, man, that is very um honorable to hear you say that.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think it's like I struggle with it too, but I think people would also say that it's like a cop out. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of where you're going. It's like, shit, whatever, dude. It's God's plan. Like, yeah, you survived because of that, or, or it's the same way of just blaming, like you said, blaming on external factors. Like you're just blaming it on God. It's like, yeah, but you know what I mean? Because if they don't understand it, that's what it seems like.
Mhm.
Sometimes I struggle with that too. Like, and I know that's a struggle with Christians. It's like just throwing it up to God, like, "Oh, I sinned. Oh, God forgives me," or,
Yeah.
it's God's purpose.
Right.
I almost ruined my life, but it was meant to be. And it gets lost in translation, I think, a lot. And I
It
think that we
does.
all struggle with that. And that's where they start labeling things like imposter syndrome and like all these other disorders you have. It's like, it's an internal battle. And like, it's to me what I realized through all this and fast forwarding, learning more is that it's just a battle for good and evil all the time,
Yep.
right? Like whether it's just
Yep.
war or like the internal mental struggles, physical struggles, it's just good and evil. Like
Mhm.
that's all it ever is, and
And
it's
s
people don't get that.
so many people wanna argue that, man, and it blows my mind how many people wanna defend evil and say, "Blame God." They blame God all the time, but they don't blame Satan. And we haven't even
Mhm.
gotten into that yet, but, like, I mean, I just can't wrap my brain around it, dude. Like, they
Yeah.
never wanna point the finger at the bad guy. They always point it at God, and,
Right.
I got some folks stirred up with Perry Yee's episode that you listened to, and then, my friend Tyler and I did a live discussion the other night about, living as a Christian in today's society, and, man, it just gets people worked up, dude. They just wanna throw stuff at God, and they never wanna sit and, like, look at their self and self-reflect and then look at, hey, this is a spiritual war. There is an enemy, but they don't want to acknowledge that. And I just don't get it, dude. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Well, I want to ask you this, man, because this is you had that conversation with your dad before you deployed. What's your dad say after all this?
So, we all know that like my wife is next of kin. So like if they're gonna go to a house or make a phone call, they're gonna call her. They're
Right,
not gonna
right.
call. I mean, they might
Yeah.
eventually call other people, but it's
Not
like on
first
her
though.
responsibility
Yeah.
to tell my mom and dad.
Right.
Um, so that same exact day, th- my wife was out to dinner with my mom, my dad, and my sister and brother for my dad's birthday. They
Wow.
went to Texas Roadhouse. They picked her up. They went out to
Good
dinner.
place.
Yeah,
It's a good place.
peanuts on the floor and everything. Back
Yeah.
when they had peanuts on the floor. I
Oh,
mean,
that's right.
that's
They
how
got rid
long
of
ago it
that.
was.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Wow.
She's not even 21. Like she's a young kid. She's out there celebrating my dad's birthday. She gets the sat number on the phone. She goes, "Hello, I can't hear you." Hangs up. Next time they call drops. So she goes outside. And then as soon as they get on the phone, like, hey, something happened, and she lost it. So she came back in white as a ghost, completely crying. And I just, I don't know if she'll ever understand the amount of credit she deserves for being such a young woman
Yeah.
and walking through a crowded public space, carrying that emotional weight, and then delivering that news to my family. And then it was always such a weird meant to be thing that we, joke about or talk about, or that she was with them, like she
Mhm.
actually was there to experience all that with my family. Now, on the flip side, she'd much rather be in the comfort of her own home, in the embrace of her mom and dad, and like,
Right.
being around people who like genuinely love her. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
not out with her in laws.
yeah.
And so my mom's like, they knew right away. They knew it was on her face. And, of course, my mom's probably like losing it inside. And my dad goes, trying to calm her down, but he's like, hey, did you talk to him? And she's like, yeah, I guess. And he's like, did he respond? Did he talk to you? She's like, yeah. And he's like, then we're good.
Hmm.
He's like, we'll figure the rest out later. Like his
Wow.
mental capacity's there. He's good. Like we just, again, have to have faith and keep pushing. Like, he would have been probably more concerned if she just got news and you didn't hear anything from her. But
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fact that she talked to me, and so he always looked at it a logical way, and
Mhm.
then immediately kind of eased her nerves a little bit. You know, so yeah, no, they made sure she got the to margarita with the 2 Patron kickers. So
Were you and your dad pretty close growing up?
yeah, for sure. I'd say
Nice.
we were
Okay.
definitely really close. I think we were both. I was equally close to my mom and dad. Like I was the golden child, right? So that's where a lot of my like other issues come from. Is like I was like couldn't do anything wrong. Everything I
Yeah.
did was perfect, and I think that's why my mom struggled with this whole, getting married early or going to the military. She struggled with that because she was
Mhm.
losing a child. Where my
Yeah.
dad was like, "Go do it," you know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right.
God for go kill
Be a
people
man.
for yeah. And
Yeah.
so he loved it, and he vicariously lived through me. But we always had a great relationship. I mean, he worked a
Nice.
lot, he supported well, but I always leaned on each of them for my own, needs or loved.
So how long were you at Walter Reed?
About 33 days.
Okay.
Yeah, I got there right before Halloween, and then was there till about December 3rd. So
Okay.
yeah, so I was there for a little over a month. I had a lot of little injuries that, and I say little, but like, losing a finger and like my arm getting blown in half. So, like it was a lot of injuries like all over the place
Mhm.
where some guys, they would lose 2 legs and they'd be out in 2 weeks because
Hmm.
like as long as the wounds heal, they're off to the rehab center to get like
Gotcha. Yeah.
prosthetics and stuff. So
Right.
it was an assembly line, like it was common. A nurse pulled my sheets off. She's like, "Oh, you have legs?" Like, it was
Wow.
just, yeah, it was rare. But because I
Huh.
had so many random things, I was constantly there for surgeries and,
Mm.
all these different types of things. So that's what made it longer.
Was your family able to come up and be with you during the course of that?
Yeah. The next day after I got out of surgery, they were there. Saw my wife
Okay.
first. Then people
Nice.
started trickling because I was in the ICU for a while. So you had to take turns.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
once we got put up, I call it the VIP floor, the celebrity floor, they have this, people coming through, volunteers, and get to meet people. I got to meet nobody, but that's okay. I got to meet the
Oh,
commandant.
really?
And
Oh,
yeah, I was
wow.
always in surgery.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, Jack Black's here. I'm like, oh, I'm in surgery, like, so
Wow, Jack Black would go to Walter Reed?
yeah, people like
Man,
that. Yeah.
that's
I thought,
surprising.
yeah, like Owen Wilson came.
Hmm.
Apparently he's a jerk in real life, which is upsetting. It's kind of upsetting, yeah. So yeah, so like people would come and
Huh.
um, yeah, so it was funny. And then I talked to my kennel master, my buddy, who's not my best friend ever, but he was over in Afghanistan, and Mark Wahlberg visited the
Hmm.
kennels in Afghanistan because he was doing like some
You missed out,
tour
man.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
you could
saying.
have
I'm
met
like, you
Marky
guys are
Mark.
seeing celebrities, and I'm in the hospital. You
Yeah,
know?
that sucks, dude.
Yeah. So, but it was a good time. I mean, it was as good as you could possibly get it.
Yeah.
Then yeah, just was the ups and downs in and out of surgeries. And again, this is where like, I look back now, especially talking to you, but like this is where that I lost that direction or that sense of faith because when I was overseas, like, yeah, I relied on the guys to my left and right. I relied on my dog's relationship and, leadership and my own like skills, but I mostly relied on God and like having faith that everything will work out. But now I'm in the hospital and I'm literally at the mercy of everything else. How well medications are working. Like, is this transplant going to work on my arm? Like, what the doctors are saying, what's your next goal and like, what's your next move? Like, it was always you.
Mhm.
How do you feel? What's your, pain on a scale of 1 to 10,
Yeah.
but then like, I just was so much time focusing on me that I lost track of what even got me there, you know? And it wasn't, I mean, like, I like neglected him because I blamed him. It was more like I didn't think I needed him, you know? It was
Right.
like he saved my life, but now I'm on cruise control, not forgetting that he's helped me through all this stuff,
Mhm.
And it wasn't like I go to sleep every night, I'm like, "Thank you, God, for such a great day. I'm so happy that I'm still alive." Like, none of that. And that only gets worse as time goes on.
So, before we get to that, with where do you go from Walter Reed? Do you go back to San Diego?
Right after Walter Reed, they had the option of keeping me on the East Coast. So they were
Okay.
like, "Hey, you go here." But initially it was like, you got to go to a rehab center. Cause like
Mhm.
I was like so injured. They're like, you got to go to Virginia to go to a rehab center to
Okay.
do extra, like, occupational therapy, physical
Right.
therapy.
Right.
And they were like, we're like, well, we want to go home, and do this like outpatient or whatever. And
Mhm.
they're like, well, the only way you're doing that is if you're walking out of here. So get out of that stupid wheelchair. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So then that pushed me. I had something to work for, a
There's your
goal.
purpose right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that purpose got back into me. So then I pushed off the wheelchair, I started pushing through the pain. Next thing you know, my wife took me back to her place. We stayed in Jersey for the next 3 or 4 months. She took me to
Okay.
all my therapy appointments, all the stuff. And then we went back. So they're great. They take care of you. They're like, you can do any job you want, do whatever you want to do. You stay at the hospital and do paperwork. But I was like, no, I want to go back to my unit and train with them. I want to
Mhm.
help them get ready for the next deployment. So I did
Yeah.
go back to my unit, and
Wow.
we got to California that spring. And then I was there until they deployed again in December.
That's badass, man.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I couldn't
That's
do much,
badass.
but aside from
Still,
like,
the fact that you went back, dude, that's outstanding.
yeah, I wanted to tell them pretty much, don't do this. Like, I
Right.
wanted to be
Right.
that walking
Right.
example. Like,
Right. Yeah. Man, that's incredible. So, you get back to San Diego and you're back, in the with the unit. Like, so how long did you stay in the Marine Corps then?
it was another year because like we have
Okay.
contracts for 5, and
Okay.
then I was supposed to get out that November. I got out that no, I was supposed to get out that August, but I got out the end of November of 2012. So
Did they give you the option to go ahead and just get out altogether because of what you went through?
you could have, yeah, you can, and that's what people would do. Like, you can med sep or med retire,
Mhm.
like medically retire.
Yeah.
But because I was nearing the end of my thing anyway, it actually went longer than my actual like
Oh, gotcha.
time. Yeah, because like it takes
Okay.
a long time for like the
Oh,
paperwork
yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
So
No, not the government. What are you talking about?
yeah. And I'm like,
Never.
I don't care. I mean, I'll stay as long as I want. And then I had obviously like 2 months of PTAD, so I went home, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wound up getting out in 2012. I medically retired because like that. And then of course I do talks now, and I'm like, I always tell kids and whatever. I wish I stayed in.
Mm.
My life would have been different, and we make decisions and blah 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 blah. But like, looking back, I'm like, I would have loved to stay in. I'm like, now I'm getting physically active. Problem was, I bought into the idea that wounded warriors were cool. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Hey, you can go home and make more money sitting on your butt doing nothing. I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, why would I come to PT at 5 when I can go home? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I bought into that mentality so quick.
Is that because, but, even back in 2010, I feel like every other commercial was Wounded Warrior Project,
Oh
and it
yeah.
was, like, everywhere. Is that you think that kinda influenced you a little bit?
No,
Like
no, like their marketing, like, it was
not
around,
them
but
particularly, but, like, just
no, no, I
seeing,
know what you
like
mean. Yeah, no, it wasn't even like it was that particularly. It was the idea of money, like having security, like I can have like a guarantee. Cause like what would happen if I stayed in and like got out and then didn't have that retirement pay? I
Right.
just was like, oh, I can get out and be set for life. Like, that's a no brainer. Like,
Yeah.
remember Wedding Crashers? Like, well, Purple Hearts, like you don't have to pay for a drink. You know what I mean? Like, which is a lie, by the way. You pay for everything.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna still pay. Yeah, you're
You
still
still
gonna
pay.
pay. Unless you got
Yeah.
a
So I
movie
bought
unless you
into
got a
that
movie
whole.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I bought into that, and it was like, because I was with my guys, I was training with them, but then they went back. I mean, they deployed again. A lot of the first group went, and then some new guys. So they deployed that following December, and then once they left, it was like a skeleton crew left, and that's when I
Mm,
transferred to Wounded Warrior Battalion,
okay.
where you get to do like your transitional stuff, and like I'm part of a new unit. But unfortunately, I was surrounded by people who weren't blown up. I was
Mm,
mostly surrounded by people who, some of them could have been, or were around it, but a lot of them were just there because they were broken.
gotcha.
You know, whether they
Yeah.
had a broken leg, broken heart, you know, whatever it might
Yeah.
be, they were there because they weren't like mentally well to be in their unit. Like guys who could still
Gotcha.
work. You know, I had a Marine Special Operations captain as a roommate, and once he got his fake legs, he went back with the teams and deployed. Like
Wow.
that's how crazy these people are. So
Yeah.
yeah, so like I feel like I got messed up with a group that had that mentality of like being lazy and,
Mm.
you know, getting ready. Like they were excited. They're talking about their ratings and like how much they're
Hmm.
gonna get when they get out. And
No
so I
kidding.
bought into it, you know, and
Yeah.
then when I got out, I just was like this kind of got that a little victim mentality here and there. Like I struggled with all these human emotions and, you know, life just got crazy after that. But yeah,
So when you got out, did you feel like you kinda lost your identity because 'cause you're no longer in the Marine Corps?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. Guys who get out who've never deployed or got hurt, they still have that problem. Like
Oh,
they
yeah. Big
immediately,
time. Big
yeah,
time.
huge.
Yeah.
If not even more, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I definitely struggle with it. But in a certain way, and it actually caught up to me later because when I got out, I had an identity. I was a wounded warrior, you know, so I'd
True.
wear the gear. I'd have to go to medical appointments. Like it was always me, 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 me.
Mhm.
And then when you plateau, now what? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the attention's not on you anymore. Like you might get, you know, invited to go talk somewhere. You know, I'd do a speaking engagement from a Memorial Day parade, but like I'm mentally half in the bag because I'm on like medicine because of all the
Mm.
pain I'm in. Well,
Mhm.
pain I'm in, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so that's where like life gets crazy. And again, like that's where the relationship with God started to kick back in because I found myself being lost,
Mm.
you know?
What
Like it
sparked
was
that? Like, how did you develop that relationship? Because you mentioned kinda darkness before, like, how did you reconnect, I guess, for lack of better words?
I was definitely out of essentially desperation. It wasn't like I hit a spiritual rock bottom because I was like doing well. It was more like whenever I felt lonely or lost, or I was starting to get sick of relying on medication or relying on other people's help or relying on like complaining about myself. Like it was starting to get tiring, you
Yeah.
know, it gets exhausting. And like when you talk to most like addicts or people who struggle with things, it gets exhausting after a while. And if you're not chasing something else and you're kind of coasting, and that's where I was at.
Okay.
And I started to like go to church here and there. You know, my dad would drag me out there, or we'd have these men's conferences that we'd get down to, you know, and every time you go, what do you know it? A fire lights in your heart, you know, and you
Mhm.
get that feeling again and you're like, oh God, thank you so much. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. But then you wake up on Tuesday and you're like, wow, I feel like a big piece of crap. Like I'm doing nothing with my life. Like I don't deserve to live. Like, well, yeah, it's okay. Like I have this medicine to make me feel better. I'll have this
Mm.
alcohol to make me feel better,
Yeah.
you know? "Oh, I have this engagement this Saturday. I'm gonna give a talk. I'm gonna feel better." And, like, it's
Yeah.
always about you, right? Like, you're trying to fix your problems. And that's what I alluded to before is that when you start to make your own decisions and take control of your own life, that's when you're gonna trip.
Were you trying to numb with alcohol or anything else?
Yeah. So I struggled heavily with, pain medication mostly, but it
Okay.
was a lot of medication. So when you leave Walter Reed, depending on what happened to you, they give you a garbage bag full of medication. Like, it's huge. And you're on every single thing in the world. But we were so naive to it that we had no idea what it was. Like I didn't know this was like pharmaceutical heroin, you know? So
Mhm.
I would go to physical therapy. My hands are like stuck. So like if I had fractures in my hands, so like it blew my hand apart.
Oh,
So like
wow.
anyway, the lady would be like bending my fingers and like putting me through all this pain. So like I'd be like dying. She's like, oh, just like up your medicine.
Hmm.
Because that helps you get through the pain.
Yeah.
But not knowing what it's doing to your body and your mind and your soul, right?
Right.
So we were naive to it. I just thought it was like Tylenol. And then as time goes on, you realize how dependent you get. So my need for it became a dependency. And then my dependency trickled in with like, oh, I want this now. So that's where
Mm.
that it just a typical snowball.
Yeah. Did they provide or did you seek out any kind of, like, mental health type therapy to talk to people after going through such an event? Like, and I'm sure there's mandated stuff, but like, as
Yeah.
you as an individual, did you ever consider like talking with a professional to kind of work through everything that you had been through?
Yeah, I did. I did a lot of therapy. I saw a bunch of different therapists, a few. But when I was at San Diego, the hospital there, I was going to see somebody, and then they do a bunch of things. I tried the lights going back and forth. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? I tried. They were shocking your fingers or whatever. Like they do everything. And then typical writing, like take a notebook, write down the event, try to get
Hmm.
it on pen to paper, get those feelings out. And that's when I wrote what happened. God willing, I remember every detail of this event per second. Everything. I wrote 6 to 7 pages. I bring it in. She starts bawling her eyes out. And, because I'm a storyteller too, like I
Hmm.
like to write. And then so she kicks me out. It's like, go write a book. You need to turn this into a story.
Yeah.
So between that and the journals I kept overseas, and some other things I had finished later, it became that whole project. And that happened over the years and years and years. But it wasn't until that time where I had the idea to do the book. So I've always jumped in and out of therapy because I knew it was helpful in that sense.
Hmm.
But the problem with therapy is that here's the big issue with therapy, and everybody kind of knows this, and now you're getting banned for sure. Is that is that it only works if you let it work, right? It's that stupid
Yeah.
AA saying or whatever. Like
Right.
if you can
Right.
go in there and you can BS it the whole time
Yeah, you
and
can.
it doesn't do
Totally.
anything.
Right.
It's like going to lift weights and they're made of air. It's like so yeah, I was always like 99% honest about how I felt. That was the problem because there was
Hmm.
things I felt like I couldn't disclose because it made me feel like less of a person or
Oh,
a
okay.
failure or less of a man.
Right.
There I came from my background, as you know, to being a part of this top tier program where everybody does awesome things, and like to be a failure wasn't accepted. Not that they didn't accept you, it just we didn't have that.
Hmm.
So now being the first person in my family, in my friend group, in my group to have issues. Like, no, you don't have issues. Just bury it. You can get through this. You can get through this, right? So you start lying to yourself. So that's why therapy only works a certain way. If you're not 100% honest. The
Yeah.
other part of it is, and they can't push this, I guess, for whatever reason, but there needs to be a faith aspect to it.
Hmm.
It's that triad. You need the mind, body, and spirit
Yep.
to be completely healthy. So if you just go in there and you do mind stuff the whole time, you know what I mean? Like better therapy would be like doing jumping jacks, talking to your buddy and praying at the end. Like that's amazing. You know what I mean? You
Right.
probably feel pretty darn good.
Right.
Um, so anyway, that's my rant on therapy. Like I
I
did it, but
Yeah, and I don't think you can have mental health without Christ. I mean, I've said that
I don't think you
before,
can.
and I didn't understand that until I got sober, but because you just hit the nail on the head, man. You gotta have the faith component because you can do everything in the world, but unless you've got a greater purpose and you're aligned with God, I mean, you're gonna constantly be trying to find peace and you won't find it without him. I mean, no matter what you've gone through. I mean, and
Nothing.
I
Yeah, no amount of therapy,
mm-mm,
doctors, nothing,
nope.
medicine, and like you touch, like they touch on it in AA and stuff, in NA. Like they
Yeah,
just like
they do. They
they say
do.
higher power. I mean, they're trying to be like, you know,
PC. Yeah.
yeah, PC, right? Like, so they know like that's the gimmick. Like, you have to humble
Mhm.
yourself, bring it up to something higher. Like, call it what you want, but it's true. You need it. You got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, like, I get what you're saying about therapy. I mean, I was in therapy for 3 years and was still drunk off my ass all the time
Yep.
because my therapist was cool, and she was like, "Ah, I get it. You come home and you don't wanna hear your now ex-wife nagging, and you wanna drink? I get it." Like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah.
You know,
You know what?
never
Yeah,
mind all
yeah,
the destruction I caused last weekend, but no, that's cool. Yeah, alright,
yeah. Well,
awesome.
that's where you were then 90% honest, right? Yeah. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
I came home and had a
yeah,
beer. That's not a
yeah,
problem. But not
yeah,
telling her that you blew a hole in
yeah,
the wall or something. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
No, but you
That's
touched on something
funny.
else too that's actually true. It's like it's because it's accepted, and that's
Yeah.
where like no one blinked deny because I was on medicine because like yeah they were like here take more. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? They're like I need more. They sent an email. I need more. They gave me more. Like
Right,
it was
right.
just accepted. Like of course you need it. You're hurt. So like it was all these lies I heard, and same thing with drinking. So like once I got off the pills and all that, I always drank and I'm always gonna drink because that's accepted, especially in the military community. Like
100%,
we go to our buddy's
100%.
house or whatever, we're drinking.
Yep.
On Memorial Day, I spent so many Memorial Days just smashing beers,
Mhm.
you know, because I wanted to just I felt like that was appropriate, right? To
Right.
live in that sorrow, to like, be sorrowful and like, I just was beating myself up and trying to bury those emotions. Now, 100% sober. Like, I have a new message for Memorial Day, which is go live your life, make people laugh, tell their stories. You might cry, but that's a good thing because you love them, and go live life because that's how you honor them, not by drinking all day and
That's
pouring one
awesome.
on the ground. Like,
Right.
it's a whole mindset shift. But I always drank. And then again, until it almost ruins your life, that's when you have to stop. When God intervenes, that's when you stop. But there was always that vice. So to your point, you're absolutely right. Like, it's accepted. And I think that's, kind of the problem.
Let's walk back a second because you use the word failure a lot. Why did you feel like a failure?
Because I was doing so well, like, you have these, like, climbs up the mountain, like, get out of that wheelchair. Like, that was really hard to start to walk again. Next thing you know, I'm walking to the car and we're driving away. But during that moment, I felt good. I got to the top of the mountain. But then, like, once you got home and then you look around, there's like, oh, there's nothing else here. Like, there's just like mud in this valley and you don't
Mm,
recognize the flowers. Like, that's where it gets bad. You know what I mean? Where you get
yeah.
lost. So I always felt like a failure because I wasn't doing more. Like, I always felt like I had to keep going and keep pushing, you know? And then you get like all this recognition and you're like, I didn't really do that, you know? Like,
Did you ever give yourself grace and say, I've been through something that I don't know what the numbers are, but it's got to be extremely low of what the population ever experiences, and not to mention you came home from that. Did you ever like look at it from that lens?
no, I really haven't. Like, I never was like, oh, and other people did. Like,
Yeah,
people
yeah, yeah.
around you do. Yeah. But I never sat there being like, or gave I never really, maybe, sure, that's a lie. I probably definitely threw it in someone's face being like, well, I was hurt. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
or at least not in a rude way, but just enough to be like,
Right.
I have these problems but
Right.
no, I didn't give myself enough grace. That's a strong word, but yeah, no, definitely not.
So it's something to think about, man, because I mean, especially like a lot of guys like from my I think we're probably around the same age, but like my generation, well, no, wait, when did you joined in? Yeah, you joined in '07. So you graduated
Yeah.
high school, what, '07?
Oh, 7. Yeah.
Oh, I'm 10 years older than you. So
Okay.
like my generation, a lot of guys I knew that joined the military, myself included, like we watched the movies, we read the books, we were ate up with it. I mean, it was like my dad's retired army, so I grew up in it. So it was like all we knew. But like you kind of went, at least from what I can understand, like joining the Marine Corps is a little different than maybe other guys because you didn't really have maybe a strong knowledge base on what you were really going to do. And so the fact that you did it and then deployed and went through all of that, that's badass, dude. I mean, there's a lot of guys, myself included, always live with regret of never deploying. And I've finally gotten over that as I've gotten older. But I mean, and I'm not saying this to be like puff you up or to bring pride into the picture, but I think at the end of the day, man, you embody what it means to serve your country. I could say people will tell me all the time, "Oh, thank you for your service." I didn't do anything. I mean, I went to OCS and went to Buds for 5 minutes. I didn't do shit in the Navy, but they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
thank you for your service." You are truly an individual that embodies that. Thank you for your service because you fucking served, man. Let's be
No,
honest.
I mean, I appreciate that, and I get where you're coming from, and I've had guys tell me that, and I always tell them you should be thankful. Don't and you don't want to do that. I know
Right,
it's a
right.
struggle battle, but you brought up a good point because this is something that I struggle with a lot, talking about being a failure. It's like, remember, this is like stupid, probably analogy, it just popped in my head, but like, who told you were naked, right, in the
Nobody.
Garden of Eden, right?
Oh, Satan. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Who
yeah.
told you you were naked?
Yeah,
Who told
yeah.
you were a failure? You
Right.
know,
Yeah, that's
you're
good, dude. That's good.
yourself. Like, I
Yeah,
was comparing myself to you and other people, and I'd see the stuff that people put on social media being like, "Oh, this veteran, he got blown in half too, and he's doing really well." But
yeah.
is he? Like, that's a lie. Like, no one said he was doing well. Like, I'd compare
Mm-mm.
myself to my buddies and stuff, and I'd feel like more of a failure because I'm comparing. No one's telling me that. Like, that's on me. And then until I
Yeah,
realized that, like, you have to literally give it all up and know that whatever, as long as you wake up every day and do what God gave you the ability to do, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
yeah.
matter if you have a million likes or if it doesn't matter if you made $1 million. It's like, that's not life, and it doesn't
You're
matter
right.
if you have an awesome job. Like right now, because I didn't have a job, like I was unemployed. Like, this is why I had all these issues. Like, just so many struggles because I blamed just myself. I didn't even blame anybody else. I didn't blame, Cree for the bomb. I didn't blame anything else but myself because I
Mm,
knew I could have done better because of the relationship I have with God, because of the tools He gave me and the ability to have this stage and platform. And then I just peed it all away. Like,
yeah.
that's all it was, man.
Well, here's a weird way to look at it, and just listening to you talk, I mean, like you said earlier, God had a plan, and you saved a lot of lives that day. So did grief. I mean, grief. I mean, and at the end of the day, I'm not in the position you're in, so I'm not going to sit here and try to like understand what you went through. But I think at the end of the day, God was working, and I think you served, you sacrificed, but you saved lives. And that may sound weird coming from me because I haven't been in that position, but that's just the way it sounds on my end with you sharing your story. And the failure thing, dude, you're speaking my language because I lived in that lane for a long time, and there's a lot of collateral damage that can happen when you live life in that state of mind and you feel like you're a failure. And I think that is why it's so important to have that relationship with Christ, because I heard it put best the other day: God never makes a mistake, and we were all made for a reason and a purpose. So even though we've gone through trials and gone through events in life, I mean, at the end of the day, we're here for a reason. And one thing you have, my friend, that other guys don't out there, especially when it comes to the military, you love Christ. And these kids that are joining the military, the generation's way different than mine and way different than yours.
Yeah.
They need to hear this stuff, man. I mean, I'm not going to say the guy's name, but there's a big podcaster in my town, and everybody loves him. And he's got a lot of sexy veterans on his show and all this stuff. But I don't hear people go on that show and say, God had a plan for me.
Mm-hmm.
God comes first. I just hear about the cool schools and the operations and all that. And you got a story, my friend. And I think these kids joining the military need to understand that now and say, okay, I'm gonna put God in this thing, especially if they're gonna go into an MOS where they're gonna be in harm's way. That's just my take on it, dude. But
Absolutely. No, I 100% agree. And I think that, like you've touched on in your other shows and stuff, but like, this is why people struggle. Like, oh, well, I don't go to church because it's a sign of weakness, or I don't say I'm a God. People make fun of the dorky Christian. Like, there is nothing cooler. And it may, I don't know if it's like the me. And it was so funny when you guys were talking about that. I literally, when I was at the sniper group, there was this one hardcore Christian kid who was stuck in my tent because they threw the dog tent somewhere else. He was
oh
the only kid.
no,
They ostracized him. They literally just put him in a different tent because like
oh
they just were
man,
sick of him like praying over them every time. Like,
dude, that's horrible.
yeah, it's horrible. He
That's
was
horrible.
such a good kid, man, and
Oh
we got
man,
along so well. And it was so funny because I was stuck with him, and I'm like, of all the people you could stick me in here with, it's him. And I'm like, God, you're yelling at me right now.
oh
But they
man,
do, yeah, it's weird. They just like they view it as a sign of weakness, or like, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, well, keep control of your life, man. See how that works out for you.
no doubt, man,
But
no
yeah, no, you
doubt.
got to talk about it, and that's why, like, when I wrote the book, it was like it was really journally because it came from a journal, and it
Hmm.
was very emotional and all that. So like, it didn't really make much sense. It was very all over the place with rants, but there's a lot of God in it. Like a lot
Good,
of
good,
everything I wrote was like, oh, this is because of God. This is because of God.
yeah,
And after reading it several times, and even me and my wife, because we read it together, and me and her edited it like 3 times over. Um, we both kind of agreed, and this was a great perspective coming from her, someone who didn't grow up in the church, someone who doesn't have like a hard faith because it was spoon fed down my throat my whole life, and then like
hmm
this is all I could rely on. Where someone like her didn't have that, she was giving me almost like this awesome outsider's perspective, being like, if you want to reach people and bring them to God, throwing it down their throat's not going to help. I'm getting
nope,
like little, it's too much.
yeah,
And I didn't want it to sound like a preaching thing and like that. Like people, she's like, we get it. You're a man of faith.
hmm
You say it once or twice here and there and it hits everyone else. And that's why, like, when I talk a certain way. I respect people who can be like, and I actually memorize Bible verses for you just so I
nice.
can like throw them out.
Oh, you knew I was gonna say that, huh?
No, I just like, I respect people who can do that. Be like, well, let me tell you something, Matthew 7:13, God said this. And I'm like, but then as soon as you say that, it's almost like change the channel mode for people because
Yeah, 100%,
they
man.
take that as like it's like an itch, and I
Mhm.
know that that's because that's the devil itching them to say change the channel.
Yeah, man.
So like I'm starting not doing it like calculatingly, but I like to talk to where people can just like hear you and hear
Yeah.
God's message without saying that, right?
That
Like,
that's so important too, man. So important.
yeah, and like I respect people who can do that, and I give them a lot of credit, and and I feel like a failure then too when I'm not tested like that. But yeah, I just
Well
wanted it to be so easy to understand, and people can be like, wow,
well,
I get,
let's put it in this perspective real quick because we're talking about dorky Christians. Okay. We've got Alfred, right? And then we'll say Joe on the other side. Joe went to Bible college, good man, stayed in the same town, never served his country, never did anything to put himself in harm's way. Good dude though. He's in church. He's the whatever guy, like the deacon. He's the youth group leader guy, and he can talk about Jesus all day. He can quote scripture, and but he really hasn't been through a point in his life where he was almost killed or he lost someone because of an area he was in. He hasn't really gone through these like horrible trials. And then you got Alfred over here. Your story to me is going to be more impactful because the person that laughs at us because we're Christians and says, "Oh, those guys are dorks," they're going to hear you talk and be like, "Wow, this dude loves Jesus. He got blown up. He's in the Marine Corps. I mean, come on, bro. Like everybody knows that's Uncle Sam's misguided children. I mean, everybody knows, So
Yeah.
it's like I
Fucking-
just see it as like this whole new ministry of veterans, man. Like that can spread the gospel because they've actually lived a life of excitement and danger and been through these trials, but they've got a real testimony, dude. Like when I was a kid, I'd look at these guys in church. I'm like, these guys are dorks. Like
yes,
I don't
exactly.
I don't want to be like these people. So I
Right.
think as the younger generation coming up, the more veterans we can get, man, or whoever, firefighters, whatever, like to talk about Jesus. I think that's what God wants because Christ is a warrior. He's a warrior king. But
Yeah.
growing up, we don't see him. I didn't see him like that. I saw him as a dude at Whole Foods with Birkenstocks on. Like, that's how I saw him. But that was wrong. That was wrong. But that's how they
Yeah.
make him look in Sunday school. Like, oh, he
Yep.
loves everybody. He's holding
Yeah.
he's holding the little baby lamb. Like, it's like, but I think the more dudes that can come out, like, and this is one thing me and my buddy John Martinez talk about, be good and dangerous. You can be a good man,
Yeah.
but you can be dangerous because this is an evil world. And that doesn't mean you have to walk around and just, everything's gonna be okay. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's be a man of God, but also
Yes.
be an asset. And I'm trying to like drive that point home. And it's so funny how much pushback I get on it, dude. These people get so mad about me talking about God. I'm like, that's cool. I'm gonna keep doing it.
Good.
It's like,
Good. Well, that's the devil talking for
oh,
sure. And
I
it's
know, man. And I want to get into that, dude. I want to pick your brain because you're a spiritual person. Do you feel at all like when you were going through the recovery and the rehab and you everything's kind of like coming into focus for you? Do you feel like you were attacked at all? Did you feel the enemy kind of on you, like trying to get you to blame God for any of this?
yeah, I absolutely. And I think it was more so he showed like like I hate saying the words devil and evil and Satan and all that cuz like again, it's like turn off. But I was shown an easier way to live, right? Like when you're
Mm,
enduring pain, like take this medicine. Now, those
yeah,
doctors aren't evil. The medicine isn't evil. It was the act and how which you used it. And it was
right.
the same thing with alcohol. Like later on in my life, like when I was struggling with like the medicine addiction part or the dependency initially, but then I became addicted because like I'd get off of it, right? Like I'd run
Hmm.
out. Like I wasn't going on the street and like getting it from people. You know what I mean? Like I just ran out. I ran out. I was sick for a week. Everyone thought I was just got a cold.
Mm,
I struggled and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, like, God, please just take this away from me, take this away from me, take this away from me. And what I didn't realize, and I felt like when I gave back into that temptation or that fear of failure, just like going into it again because I wanted to feel better, I felt like I abandoned him and I
mm,
disobeyed him and like I was, you know what I mean? Like I just wasn't keeping him priority.
yeah,
But all I was doing was grabbing that low hanging fruit. I was just
yeah.
giving into the temptation. It was he did it. He goes, look, you don't need to cry to me every night and say, take this away. Just believe and trust
Hmm,
in me, the process. Just trust that it's going to come out because I was tempted to, and I get it,
yeah.
you know? So, like, I always wondered when that, but I never imagined a life without being dependent on something as a vice or an easy way out, a cheat code. I never knew what that life would look like until I had it. Now, when I look back, I can't imagine living that way. It's just such a night and day thing.
Hey, Alfred, educate these people real quick. You just said because I was tempted to. Will you? I know what you're referencing, but can you articulate that for our audience?
Yeah, I think there was a couple times that Jesus himself, the man who lived, was tempted. He was in the desert. I think he did everything in 40 days. I don't know why, but he was in the desert for 40 days. And then, of course, hungry and all that stuff. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that the devil appeared and he said, hey, I can give you anything in the world if you just give in to me, and then
Mhm.
he did that several times,
Yeah, I did it 3 times if I remember
yeah,
right.
tried to
Yeah.
tempt him and say, I know
Yep.
you have the power to do it. If not, just like, your God abandoned you,
Yep.
but I'm here.
Yep.
And that's what it was. And that's exactly what happened. When I was going through stuff, the devil would whisper to me saying, your God abandoned you. And the whole time he's
Mm.
right next to me. I
Wow.
just was listening to the one that was saying it louder. And
Yeah.
it was just like, here, try this. And I gave in because we're human. And I
Yeah,
think that's
we
what's
are.
so magical about this. It's a relationship. It's just like when you disappoint your father growing up or your mother or loved one, that true unconditional love, you can't disappoint them. You
Right.
can't do anything wrong. They're going to love you no matter what. And that's what he would say, and he does. So it's like funny. It's so easy to look back on it. When you're in the weeds and people who are listening to this, if they're like about to change it because they're like, you don't understand what I'm going through, you're
Mhm.
right, but he does.
Yeah, he does. He
So if you
does.
just want to give it up, be like, what are they talking about? It's like if you just sit there and pray, be like, Jesus, like, I don't know what I'm dealing with right now, but I know you get it. And just help me trust in that. Like, just help me just trust in that. And then I can get through the next day. And you probably still make a decision. You'll probably still wake up tomorrow and still grab that bottle or grab
Mhm.
that pill or yell and lie and cheat. But that's okay because he knows you're going to do that. And at
Yeah.
one point, if you trust in him, it's going to get better.
Yep. Thank you for sharing that, man, and I just wanted to drive that point home because I think people lose sight of the fact that Jesus was a man and he was tempted and he endured pain and suffering, and, I had someone the other day comment, basically to summarize it, it's not fair that God makes us suffer, and I was like, "Well, Jesus suffered. I mean, why we're not better than him, and so, we're gonna have to go through our stuff because it draw like you just put it very, very well, it draws us closer to him. I mean,
Hmm.
that's how we build that relationship, because if life was just on cruise control and everything was great, you wouldn't go to him. If you had all the money in the world and all the fame and whatever else crap that the world's gonna throw at us, why would you even go to God? Because you're doing good. You're
Yeah.
cruising, right? So,
Yep. And it's
yeah, I
all
think
you.
yeah, it's all it's all you, yeah. Well, okay, so where can people pick up your book? And if they want to reach out to you, maybe if they're interested in just getting to know you or connect with you, where are the best ways for them to reach out to you?
So my book is available on Amazon. I did it through like KDP. Anybody can publish a book as long as you dot your I's and cross your T's and stuff. So it's on Amazon. All three versions are available.
Nice.
Comes quick like Amazon does. And then I'm on Instagram and TikTok. I was so you know what I mean? I was so against that. I felt like they were
Don't
like
even get me started,
they're
dude.
like China, 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 China. And I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
want to do it, but I gave
yeah,
into it.
yeah.
And then my last little spiel about ego and then stuff, you got to catch yourself. I posted a video. It got like hundreds of thousands of likes and views and
Nice.
stuff. And, to somebody like me, that's like a million. And I was so excited. But then I became addicted to that. And I
I know, man.
literally had to catch myself. It was so bad. My wife noticed it. She's starting to see signs like I'm doing drugs or something. And
Mm.
so for Lent this year, instead of giving up Reese's peanut butter cups, I gave up social media. And it was the best decision I ever made,
That's funny.
because now you catch yourself. Now you can like watch, right? Like you're like, I don't need
Yeah,
to look at it. I don't need to. Because I
dude,
went
it's
40 days without it.
yeah, it's funny you say that because I've had a guy that I've kind of met through all this, and he's got a pretty big platform, and for some reason he popped up the other day and he was like, "Hey man, I forgot about you," and I took that the wrong way. It was in a message, but I'm like, "Bro, like, where you been, dude? Like, this, I've been." But my ego kind of came out. I was like, "I've been crushing it, man." But then I was like, "You know what, man? It's all good because I've proved myself my whole life, and I feel compelled to do this for a greater cause." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool, man." I said, "You missed some great episodes." That's all I said to him. I was like,
Nice,
"Whatever."
nice,
But
nice.
I get what you're saying, man. It's easy to get caught up in social media. I'm laughing at TikTok because I was told in the beginning of this whole like journey that I needed a TikTok page because that's how you build your YouTube page. Well, that has not worked for me. I still use it, but I don't
Yeah.
understand anything about it, and I still use it. But yeah, social media is weird, man, and I really feel like what do they say? Comparison is a thief of joy or whatever. And so
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
If you can do it. Yeah.
right. It's easy to get caught up in it, but I think there's a way to make it a good tool, and you just have to kind of stay on top of it. Because I've caught myself, man. I get to where I feel like this pressure, like I got to put something out, I got to do this, and then but then I kind of slow down. I'm like, you know what, man, it's okay if you don't. You don't do a clip today, big deal. Like,
Yeah,
don't
nobody really
stress.
cares. Yeah, I know
Right, exactly. Yeah,
the
the algorithm
algorithm
doesn't care.
cares, whatever. But I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, I literally was doing. I was like, I gotta post. I gotta post. She's like, are you kidding me? Like, are you posting another video again? I'm like, whatever.
I tell you
So
what you
yeah,
should do, man, is like maybe like I'm not telling you how to run your stuff, but like just do like you're very well spoken. Just do like like motivational stuff or like a thought of the day to keep people like on the right path to gratitude or something like that, you know?
yeah. No, I love that, and I want to get into it. I actually got like another wireless mic, and I
Nice.
recorded myself walking to class one day, and I'm like, hey, if
Yeah.
you're feeling anxious today, you know what I mean, blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah. And
That's
then
good,
I
man.
yeah, but I can't stand that stuff. Like I look at it, I'm
I
like, this is
know.
cringy. This
Well,
is cringy, but
there's plenty of dudes from the military that are making lots of money as life coaches now. So
yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah.
I don't understand any of that either, man. But
That's what I
it's
wanna do. I
huge.
wanna be a life coach, you know,
Yeah.
it's like
I don't even know
and
what that
again,
means.
just don't do what I did. It's that easy. Like, I'm not
Right,
teaching you what
right.
to do, just don't do this.
Right. So
Yeah.
what does life look like for you today, man? Like what do you we've got the book, so we're gonna put the description or the link in the description here on the episode. What's life looking for you right now? Do you have anything like on the horizon you want to share with us?
Right now I'm in between classes. I'm trying to finish up my degree. We started this conversation because I got into college, you know, because of this.
Hmm.
So I'm finally finishing up my degree this fall.
Nice.
And then so I'll be doing that. And then in the meantime, just trying to be happy with what I got now. I do some part-time work with my wife. She's a dog groomer,
Okay,
incidentally.
cool.
So yeah, we're in the dog world and I'll go in and help. Yeah. So I'll be
That's
bathing
awesome.
dogs and pulling them and stuff.
There you
So
go.
I'm around dogs still, and trying to do more book stuff. Like I love podcasts again. It was initially like I need to get the book out so I can like pay for gas, but now it's more about just doing this because it's therapeutic and
Yeah.
it's helpful for me and everyone listening. But also it's a like one of my hobbies. I love it. Just being able to do it. And then promotion, like professional speaking. I want to get into it. I've done talks before, but now being like sober in a better headspace, I'm better at it. But I
Nice.
also like to get paid to do it. So
Right, right.
I got my first gig coming up in July where I'm doing a corporate event. So I hope that goes well. And then hopefully more. I'd love to do that, you know, get paid to
Very
speak
cool.
everywhere on
Very
stuff.
cool.
So
I hope you go on Kevin's show, man. It's a really good experience.
yeah, I think we're
The
doing that
suffering.
July 29th.
Awesome,
So
man.
be
Yeah,
coming
that's
in. Yeah.
awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, he's a cool guy, and it's just it's a lot different in person. I want to get to that point someday where I have a studio because I think it's just that human connection. I mean, this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
great, but it's
Yeah.
different when you're actually in person. But yeah, it's a neat experience.
That's cool, yeah.
I'd love
I'll
to see you
definitely
get
have
on
to
there.
I mean, we'll keep in touch, but I'll definitely let you know how it goes when I get out there
Yeah,
next month.
yeah, for sure. And I've got some I don't know if you travel much, but I've got another friend that has an in-person one, but he's out in well, he's in California. But
Oh,
awesome guy. I'll connect you guys on
yeah.
Instagram. Yeah, John. Is I mentioned him earlier, John, Good and
Martinez?
Dangerous. Yeah, he's awesome, man.
Oh, cool.
Great guy. He was in the army, infantry, then he was in law enforcement, and he's a big
Nice.
believer. Yeah, he's a good dude, man.
I
So
love that.
I'll hook you up with him. All right, so
Please,
here
yeah.
we're at that point of the show, man. You said you did your homework. Is there a scripture that you have used or a scripture that's kind of kept you on the right path you want to share with everybody?
Man.
I know it's hard picking one, but I've got one
Yeah.
too, so I'm gonna see what you go with. But
Oh, man, you know, I'm gonna am I allowed to cheat? Or because I'm gonna
100%,
look
I'm
like
cheating. I wrote mine out. I can't memorize
oh,
scripture,
you are
dude.
such a cheater. I
I
thought we had
know,
to
man. No,
memorize
I
it.
don't know, dude.
But then
Uh-uh.
what kind what I because I know what I'm gonna say, I just don't remember if it's one or the other because I picked 2. Oh, and I'm using my phone to record, so I can't look it up. So,
Uh-oh. Now you're on the
um
spot.
um all right, hold on.
Tell me the
Okay, so
book.
let's
I'll look it up. Tell me the book. I can look it up.
all right,
Give me
try
hang on, let me get to the app real quick. I'm gonna use the Bible app. My Bible's behind me.
Try James 1:12.
That's a good book. Book of James. All
When
right,
you
hang
asked for the
on.
book, I was just gonna tell you the title of mine. It's like autopilot. Always marketing.
There you go, man. You got to do it. Okay, James what? 112?
112.
James 112. So here's a little hidden, or what do you want to call it? What do you call it when you do something you're not supposed to say? I have to wear reading glasses now, but I won't do it on the show, so bear with me here. Cuz I'm old. All right, here we go. This is James chapter 1, verse 12. I guess I'll read it cuz I don't know how to get this to you without
Yeah, no,
since we're
that's
on camera.
fine. Just
All right.
start it.
Temptation does not come from God. That's it, 100% right. Great blessings belong to those who are tempted and remain faithful. After they have proved their faith, God will give them the reward of eternal life. God promised this to all people who love him.
I
That's
love
one
that,
you're
and that's
thinking?
what I was reading earlier. Which version is that?
ERV.
ERV.
I
I don't even know.
use I use the YouVersion Bible app. I think it's called Easy to Read version.
Oh, easy to read version.
Yeah, you can choose which one you want, but
Yeah, I
I
think
just
of
do
think
that
of
one.
ESV is usually what I do or whatever. English,
Okay, yeah,
no,
yeah.
New English trans. I
My
remember.
my son and I, when I have him, we do this every day, so he reads it. So I try to put it. I started to say out the King James because some of those words I mean, he's a very good reader, but some of those words he's like, Dad,
Oh,
what is
yeah,
this?
it gets to you a
So
little
I
bit.
go to
Yeah, like we
ERV.
said before, you got to speak people's languages in order to get the word
100%,
across.
man.
Yeah, but I appreciate
And
you reading that. And the reason why I was gonna say the first line in the version I read, it said, um, "Those who have faith to persevere the trials will be rewarded," like you said in the end,
yeah,
through God. So if you have faith through perseverance, no matter what, so you might be going through a season or you might be going through the hardest time of your life, but if you just have faith to persevere, in the end, it's going to be the light at the end of the tunnel. Just
yeah.
don't rely on yourself. Don't rely on the thing that you're viced with. Don't rely on anything but Him,
Mhm.
and then you're going to be rewarded. And
100
it's always happened. You
100%.
don't see it in the moment in the season, but if
Yeah,
you just have that faith, so that's the way to have hope with it.
100%. I cheated today and did some research for our episode. I'm gonna read Psalms 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. And I think for most people, you feel closest to God when you're enduring those trials and when something has really happened in your life where maybe it's a traumatic event or you're struggling with addiction or divorce, things like that. That's when you kind of realize that at the point where I can't do this on my own, and he will guide you through, the course that you need to be on versus you, like you just put, instead of you trying to do it on your own. Because ultimately, if you try to do it on your own, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, and that's so. We did not talk before this, and we
Hmm.
didn't discuss what we were going to share. And I
Hmm.
believe those two verses go hand in hand.
100%, man.
And a
Yeah.
lot of weirdos would say that's just a coincidence, and that's just
No.
blah 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 blah
Mm-mm.
blah. No,
No. And the funny thing is with this little Bible app, a lot of times when I do episodes, I don't research a scripture. I'll just use the verse of the day, which it gives you a verse a day. And most of the time it ties into the episode without me even knowing it. It's pretty wild, man.
yeah.
Or somebody will say it, like they'll say that's their favorite. I'm like, oh, it's funny that it's the verse of the day. So,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, it's
unbelievable, and
wild.
that's why you turn on the radio or somebody says something to you. It's God speaking. I just said this in another show, but like those weird tugs at your heart, that's
Hmm.
God,
Yeah,
and He did that
100%.
a million times. Remember we were talking about like, oh, he was absent, he wasn't there. He tugged on me so much. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if it's an itch, like you're not supposed to do this, or like somebody would be like, "Hey, are you okay?" You get annoyed, but that's Him.
That's
Like it's
him.
always Him.
It's the
Just
Holy
listen.
Spirit. It's a warning light going off.
Yes,
Like, hey,
sir.
go
Yep.
this way. Don't go that way. I like to ask this question too, and you probably know this was coming. Alfred, if there's a man listening tonight that's on the edge of giving up, what would you like to say to that man?
You can't stop. There was so many times where I thought, and like you mentioned, I should give myself more grace. I went through a lot, and I tell a story. It's in my book, but I tell a story now. Part of my speech because it's so impactful is that I thought I was going to die. It was the worst feeling ever on that flight, and I was in so much pain, and I couldn't breathe. And I blame the nurses and everybody for not helping me, but that's because they were helping the Marine next to me, who was a triple amputee who was about to die. He
Wow.
flatlined 3 times before he got to Italy.
Wow.
So when you think that you're having a bad day, you gotta know someone's having it way worse, and that little perspective change really makes a difference, and know that nothing is worse than death, and Jesus already solved that problem, so there's nothing
Hmm.
to worry about.
Man, thanks for sharing that. Did he end up making it?
He did.
Wow.
They stopped in Italy to save them, and I think he made it to the hospital, like, through 2 weeks later.
No
Yeah, he
kidding.
finally got there, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Man, thank you so much for having the courage to come on here tonight, man. I know we were talking off air and it's not always easy to share your story and to relive those moments in life that are really difficult, but I really appreciate you, and I'm going to say this. I don't say this a lot on here, but thank you for your service, man. I really mean
Well, thank you. I appreciate that a lot, and thank you for trying your
that.
service too. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all good,
I'm
dude. It's all good.
just trying to light the mood.
That's funny. Um, I would you feel comfortable praying us out tonight, or would you rather me do it?
I can do it, man. That'd be an
Awesome.
honor.
Let's
That'd be
do it, man.
awesome.
All right.
How much time you got?
Go for it, bro.
All
It's
right,
you.
twice
You
there.
got the floor.
All right. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this opportunity to speak to my new friend, Steve. This has been an amazing opportunity to be able to share the gospel with others. And more importantly, just to be talking like men that you designed, living for your purpose, Lord. Help us fight the biggest fight of all, which is evil here on earth. And Lord, we just ask that you give us the strength every day to be men of God and to continue to push forward no matter what's thrown our way, Lord. Thank you very much for the life you've given us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. That was beautiful, man. Thanks for checking out the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. Be sure to smash that bell here at the bottom on YouTube. Like and subscribe to the channel. Share this episode with someone you may know that needs to hear this powerful message. We're also on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. New episodes drop every week. Alfred, man, I really appreciate your time tonight. This was an incredible episode. And man, just know this, dude. I say this a lot on here. Like, if you ever need anything, reach out to me, and we're definitely going to stay in touch. And I'm going to get you connected with John Martinez as soon as we go offline here and get you guys
Cool.
linked up.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate that. Next time I'm in town, I'll definitely hit you up.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I'll take you out. We'll go to Texas Roadhouse if you want.
I love
Braxton, we
that,
don't
man.
have one of those here. We'll have to go south. We don't have one in Franklin,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but we used to, not anymore.
We
But
go
yeah,
Luke
for
Bryan's or
sure.
something.
Luke Bryan. No. Dude, I'm a metalhead.
I
What kind of
love it.
I meant to ask you, man, what kind of music are you into?
Honestly, everything.
Okay.
I've recently just been sticking to Christian music, and it's not because I'm gonna keep talking about it. It's just it makes me feel good. It hits home.
No, that's good,
I
man.
listen to
That's
secular
good.
stuff here and there, but everything. I love the '80s music. I grew up on like '80s stuff because
Yeah,
like
me
my
too.
dad and everybody. So
Me
like I
too.
love '80s music. So
Yeah.
I bounce around between that and that, but I love everything.
Okay.
Country, whatever, rock. We
Yeah.
grew up in that emo 2000 stage too, like that
Yeah.
East Coast vibe. So we had a lot of that. So yeah, but no,
Okay. All right,
yeah.
cool, man. Yeah, there's actually some really good Christian metal bands out there.
I know. Dude,
Um,
well, I just heard something. Oh my god, what's the name of it? They do cover like remixes of all the songs, worship
oh,
songs.
okay. Nice.
It's hard. I'll text it to you. I forget
Yeah.
what it's called.
Okay.
I want to say it's called Seventh Day Slumber. Have you ever heard of them? I think that's what it's called.
I
I'll
don't think
text you
so.
and
Okay.
you hear it. It's wild.
Nice, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some hard ones, dude, like Impending Doom. I didn't know they were a Christian band for a long time, and they are actually
Really?
they're out of the West Coast, but yeah, dude, they're hard.
That's
And
crazy. I'll have to see
yeah,
that.
yeah, they're good. I mean, it's all like, they're spreading the gospel, but they're doing it like a lot of these bands now call it violent worship, which to me is awesome. I'd love
Damn,
to go
that's
to a church
crazy.
like that. But
Yeah,
they don't have those here. But yeah, I'm a big
that's
metal
crazy.
guy.
No,
Yeah,
I grew
man.
up on like Skillet and Newsboys and
Oh, okay.
stuff like that. Yeah, like
Newsboys are in big
Switchfoot.
trouble right now, dude.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yep.
boy.
Yep.
Oh
That's a
jeez.
whole other podcast episode.
Oh boy. We're
Yeah. Yeah, they're
just
not,
trying to get you
at
canceled.
least the lead singer guy is, but
Oh man.
I know. But
I didn't say
it's
that.
no,
Well,
it's
you
all
can
good,
edit
bro.
that out.
I'm gonna get canceled. Well, I'm telling you, for social media purposes, whenever you put clips about God or someone finding Christ, they don't go as far as the what school did you go to? What selection? Did you go to SF or Ranger School? Those go crazy. But as soon as you talk
Yeah.
about
So
Jesus, it's
you
like
know what
whoop,
I do? Now what I do is I'll post a video of a military dude and I'll have a Bible verse over it.
there you go.
And I had a really cool one. I'll end with this. It's really good. I'm starting to do like Bible verses and stuff because
Yeah.
I'm crazy. So there was one about like, Lord, you watch over me and you keep me safe, blah, blah, blah. So I had a little clip of Chris Kyle
Oh
overlooking
wow.
everybody in Iraq. Yeah. So it
Yeah.
like made sense to me. It was like perfect,
That's cool.
the Overwatch. And
Yeah.
then like 3,000 people saw it. And I'm like, that's awesome,
Yeah.
because I want
Yeah.
you to see the Bible. I mean, whether they read it or not, it's a different story. But um,
Well,
see,
you still
that's what
did it. Yeah, you
yeah,
still
that's
did
what you
it.
got to do. You got to find the way to get, him.
People,
That's what it is. That's why it's not in the churches, it's in the streets.
no, dude, people are hungry. They're
Yeah.
looking for it. They just are looking in places that they don't always see it. So that's why we need more veterans to come out and talk about Jesus,
Yep.
because there's
Absolutely,
a
man.
whole generation of guys looking for that, man. I mean, I can see it. And there's some pretty big names in the veteran community that are coming out and talking about the Lord. And I love it, man. It's really
Yeah.
cool to see it. Nick Lavery was on the show and he talked about the moment when he was attacked in Afghanistan and ended up losing his leg. That's when he saw Christ for the first time.
Damn,
That
man.
it was wild. It was a pretty
Mm,
pretty
mm,
powerful story. So
Yeah.
just stuff like that, man. Just getting the word out and
Yeah.
letting people know like Jesus is for everybody, regardless of your background. But
Yeah. And that's the key point. It's a real thing.
yeah, yeah,
It's not like an up in the clouds thing. It's a real thing.
right,
Yeah.
100%, 100%. Well, man, I really appreciate your time tonight, brother. And I'm gonna put the book link in the description so we can drive people over to pick up a copy. And
Awesome.
yeah, man, we'll
I
stay in
appreciate
touch.
that, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
man. God
Thank
bless
you,
you,
man.
man. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. You too. Take care.
You too, bro.